With just 3 races to go in this season, the Grand Touring classes in the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship are getting real. Championships are on the line and reputations at stake. In GT Le Mans, just 15 points cover the top 4 entries from Corvette, BMW, Porsche, and Ferrari. 15 points. What could be closer than that? Try the GT Daytona division, where those same 15 points blanket 5 title contenders from Aston Martin, Audi, Ferrari, Porsche, and Viper. Today, GT cars are the stars on the rolling roads of America's motorsports resort, Virginia International Raceway. Live on Fox Sports 1, it's the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR. The TUDOR United SportsCar Championship continues its tour of America's greatest road racing circuits. This week, it's Virginia International Raceway, site of the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche. On a very hot day, hello and welcome everyone. I'm Bob Varsho along with Calvin Fish and Justin Bell. It's appropriate that the GT classes are the headliners here at VIR because it was at this track back in 1971 that IMSA ran its very first race for GT cars, won by the Porsche of Hurley Haywood and Peter Gregg over a Corvette driven solo by Dave Hines. Flash forward 45 years, Calvin, and once again, it's Porsche versus Corvette in the big board GT Le Mans class.
Well, that story really continues, Bob, and this year in GTLM, the car that everyone has been chasing is the number 3 Corvette. But right now, in terms of performance, definitely on their heels a little bit. As we look at the point standings, BMW very much in the mix. But when you talk about momentum, it's Porsche. 3 wins in a row, including 2 for the number 911, have really vaulted Patrick Pilet into the championship picture. When you come to VIR, there's one team that everyone's concerned about. For more on that, let's go down to Jamie Howe.
Well, Calvin, Ferrari is the only manufacturer in GTLM not to win a race so far this season. But here at VIR with Risi Competizione, they're going for the hat trick as the 2-time defending event winners. Drivers Giancarlo Fisichella and Pierre Caffer led the early practice sessions, and they thought they had a solid chance at qualifying for the pole position, but they had a left rear tire that was losing pressure, and the car was what Caffer called undrivable. Teams have to start this race on 3 of their 4 qualifying tires, and even with that issue, they line up third today in a new left rear tire.
In GTD, things could be not more different than they appear on paper. When you take a look at the championship standings, those top 4 cars, guess what? They haven't won one single race. And in 5th place, the Viper, well, they've only won 1. So let's compare it to a long-distance running race. There are 3 turns left to go. You've got to make your mark to get ahead, to stomp out the opposition. Is VIR this afternoon the time to do that? Well, with a bit more backstory, let's go down to Brian Till in the pits.
Well, Justin, the other thing is, it seems like if you lead the GTD standings as of late, you have problems. Just think about Christopher Haase and Dion van Molke. They led the beginning part of the season. Problems in the last 2 races, though, have dropped them to 2nd. Enter Christina Nilsson in her TRG Aston Martin. She took over the points lead at Road America, but in qualifying yesterday, a problem in turn 3, makes contact with the outside wall. The damage, not significant, but significant enough that her qualifying run was over. She'll roll off 5th today, but go back to the beginning of the story. Who starts on pole? That's right, Christopher Haase and Dion van Molke, the pole for the 4th time this season, looking for their first win and to regain the points lead in GTD, Bob.
Well, as you heard, the cars are on track, and we're just moments away from the start of the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche. Stay with us.
VIR is technical.
These drivers are really going to earn their money today.
Challenging, really challenging.
You got to be patient here.
You have to be right on line all the time.
Very difficult to get right.
He's off. Big moment there.
Bam! Oh, that's a big hit. Very technical, very old.
Let the adrenaline valve open up and hold on.
Built in 1957, resurrected in 1998. Tell us about VIR, Justin.
Well, you could say it's all about those S's. Turn 7, 8, 9, a test of man, machine, balance, tires, engineering, amazing. You go through what was formerly the Oak Tree, now the Oak Tree corner, down the back straight. Very technical series of corners, 14, 15, 16. Even the front straight, Bob, has a kink in it.
That's our Ford track map. Across the top of your screen, our Continental Tire starting grid, a massive improvement of the track record for our pole sitter, Nick Tandy, and the Porsche 911 RSR. Here's a look at our various onboard cameras split between the GT Le Mans and GT Daytona classes. And with that, we are ready to go racing. A split start, the GT Le Mans, followed, as you can see, by the GT Daytona field.
Well, Porsche have been dominating of late, and you see them there sweeping in the front row. Caffer in the red Ferrari will be looking for a move down into turn 1.
Yeah, he was sounding very aggressive before the start. He and Bergmeister have unfinished business. The Porsches are leading it up to the green flag.
Tandy and Bergmeister in a pair of Porsches on the front row, bringing up the revs. The green flag waves, and we're underway at VIR.
Perfect start for Nick Tandy, our pole sitter, as he leads a Porsche 1-2 down into the brake zone for turn 1. Lucas Luhr looks to the outside in that black BMW.
You're about 5 different lines around there, Calvin, so it's wide open, especially when all the cars are equal after those warm-up laps.
Brian Sellers on the move, got around the number 4 of Ollie Gavin early.
Very
Felt
easy
the
to
tyres seem to come alive pretty early in the run.
Yeah, sorry, Cal. Very easy to make contact with cars, especially as they move around on the tyres. Look at that, Caffer up to second place already. That was a nice move.
Yeah, that battle that we saw at Road America in the final hour is resuming here in the initial laps here at VIR this weekend between Caffer and Bergmeister.
Now the uphill blast through the S's that Justin talked about earlier. Watch this. If you're good, you're flat.
You really have to be brave here on the opening lap. The tire temperatures aren't there, the tire pressures aren't there, and you can see the cars just dancing on their toes.
Yeah, the driver's absolutely on the limits, especially exploring the limits of the tires on these opening laps.
Oh,
Look at Porsche
Bergmeister sliced to the inside.
Whoa.
We talked about that battle at Road America. Here we go again.
Lucas Luhr almost capitalized on that little hold up at the Ferrari there. This will be interesting. Down the back straight, the Ferrari does have the legs on the Porsche. It's a left-hand corner at the end. Will he be able? Bergmeister cannot defend more than one move.
Here comes Caffer. He is on the move. That Ferrari is very slippery. Doesn't have the downforce. First lap of the race. What a battle.
Beautiful overtaking maneuver there. Now, this is very technical through here, Cal, isn't it? You've got to be on your marks, but it's all about the exit of 17 onto that very fast front straight.
You really have to be careful because you loaded the car all the way to the left, and if you drop a wheel, you're just along for the ride in the grass there, out of hog pen.
Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche, BMW, Corvette, the top 5. As Caffer able to gap Bergmeister slightly with Lucas Luhr and that black BMW right there.
Lots of tire strategies going on here today. One is with that black BMW. They run a different tire combination to the sister car. Feeling they're a bit further back in points, they have to be more aggressive.
Well, I think Nick Tandy's going to have to send them all a postcard after a couple of laps just to remind them he's still in the race because he has checked out.
That boy has been on fire this year since that big win at Le Mans, the 24-hour win overall for Porsche. He comes back here, 2 consecutive victories, going for 3 in a row with Patrick Pilet.
That complex is where most of the action has taken place this weekend. Turns 3, 4, and 5 before they launch up the front straight to the S's.
They call the area the snake as you wiggle through there. And then in this high-speed section, unbelievable. The drivers absolutely love this part of the race circuit.
What a beautiful view from those condominiums of this great racetrack. A little over 3¼ miles, 17 turns, rolling. The scenery speaks for itself. Now picking up the action in GTD. There's the class leader, Dion van Molke, in the Audi R8 LMS. Right behind him, Bill Sweedler in the number 63 Ferrari.
Bill has been on fire here this weekend. I saw him in the drivers' meeting last night. He said he was frustrated, even with a 3rd position on the grid. He wanted the pole, and that really is making a statement. He's got confidence right now. There's been a few tweaks in the adjustment of performance in this class, and the Ferraris feel they may have something to say about this championship.
Yeah, I mean, under the mentorship of Townsend Bell, he has really come alive. Riding on board the 23 Alex Joe Porsche. Look at that, right up behind Christina Nilsson in her Aston Martin there.
Look at this roller coaster here. That's exactly what they call this section of the racetrack. And then it continues to bend on the front straightaway. You're trying to get the exit speed. You're loaded, but it gets dusty on the outside edge.
Christina, of course, didn't have that clean a run through practice qualifying. She had a little off-track excursion, but certainly sounded confident before the race. Jamie?
Another car that had an on-track excursion was that number 23 we were just on board with. That happened during the morning warm-up today. It did some damage to the aero pieces. There was nothing mechanically wrong, but they just had to wait to see in terms of aero balance as this race gets started. If they have any major issues, we could see them make some adjustments during a pit stop, but that would make them lose positions as well. So they're pretty much stuck with the car that they have now.
Well, they'll take the car, put it back on what we call the flat pad, which is the setup area in their race transporter. But there's certainly a subtlety. You think you've got the car set the same way, but if one of those dive planes or something is a little bit off, it can change the balance of the race car, and that can have a big effect.
Temperature is a big factor. We talked about it on the tires, we talked about it on the track, but also for the drivers. And just before the start of the race on the warm-up lap, in fact, we heard in-car from Christina Nielsen saying she could not find her drink bottle.
Look at her scrambling to try to find the drink bottle.
Oh, it's a panic, it's a panic.
Now, we can make jokes all day about, it looks like Calvin going down the road looking for his Starbucks cup. But as you point out, it is a serious matter. We have a very, very hot day here. These drivers are going to lose a lot of fluids. Here's our WeatherTech.com weather update. 82 degrees, expected to get hotter, and we've seen some really unusual weather this weekend.
They really have. It's been quite humid. Not so bad today, but certainly the cloud cover will play a big part in how the drivers have to, deal with the conditions here. Certainly for Christina Nielsen, without that drink bottle. Remember, these guys, these Pro-Am drivers in the GTD class have to do a minimum drive time of 50 minutes, so they can't get her out early. Brian?
I just checked in with the team. She still has not been able to find that drink bottle, and part of that problem, it becomes a little bit mental as well. You know you're missing it, and that just makes matters worse. But in talking to Kevin Buckler about the strategy side of things, he said, we are going to run a little bit conservative here. I know in my heart that if we can just finish second from here on out, we'll win this championship. We don't necessarily have to win a race. We'll be a little bit conservative. They may have to play that game now with the drink bottle missing for Christina.
I think the problem with that strategy, Brian, is the last race is 10 hours long. Anything can happen. So to say, yeah, we're going to execute sprint races and finish on the podium every time, so much can happen in an endurance race, Justin, as you know.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I just hope for her sake, she was looking for the hose. Did she find it? She's now back on track. She's having to keep her head down. And right now, she's more worried about the cars trying to overtake her than she is about that, I'm sure.
That 10-hour race, of course, is the legendary Petite Le Mans, taking place October 4th at Road Atlanta. You'll see it here on Fox Sports. Patrick Lindsay demoted in class to third by Bill Sweedler in the Ferrari. All of them chasing Dion von Moltke in an Audi in GT Daytona. They also serve who only stand and wait in the pits. Their time will come. Stay with us. Welcome back to Fast and Frantic VIR, on board with the number 4 Corvette in the hands of Oliver Gavin. If you like onboards, go to foxsports.com/Tudor for live onboard video streams of today's TUDOR United SportsCar Championship race. That's foxsports.com/Tudor. Check it out. A blast up the front straightaway, cross start finish into this very tricky turn 1 complex. Oh, we've got one of the GTDs off. That's the Audi. Ray Mason.
Looks like that's into Oak Tree corner there.
Yeah, simple spin. Didn't look like the car was damaged.
What the race director will do is certainly give the team the opportunity to try and get that car refired and moved out of that vulnerable position.
Let's hear from one of the Porsche factory drivers with Jamie.
And it's Patrick Relay. Patrick, you find yourself 5 points out of the championship lead. Your co-driver, Nick Tandy, is over 6/10 ahead of the field right now. When you have a car that's so dominant, what do you have to do when you get in the car to stay up there?
I have to give the maximum, actually, but I don't think we dominate that much. I think we just get a really good run in quali yesterday, but you can see the Ferrari is really close at the beginning of the race. Also, the BM is close to Jorg. It will be very, very tough all the race, so I think we have to push maximum from first to the last lap, and watching also for the tires, because it's quite hot now. It's 45 degrees on track, so we have to really manage the tire for the end of the stint.
Porsche leads the manufacturer's title at the moment. How big does that play into your strategy in your mind?
It's really important, actually. It's one of the main goals for Porsche is to win the manufacturer championship. Also the driver, because I'm not so far now, and also for the team for 9/11. But we're working really hard since 3-4 races to come back. We have a really bad beginning of the season, but now we are in a good shape. Also, the Falcon car make a great job in Watkins because they scored the victory. So it's really important for Porsche, and we are really focused on this until the end.
When they say good shape, guys, that means they've won the last 2 races.
Yeah, they're in great shape, and I'll tell you what, a man on a move right now is Ollie Gavin, and this is significant because the cars that are leading the championship are the one right in front of him, the sister Corvette, and the guy that he just passed, Billy Oberlin, so this has championship implications. This is exactly what Corvette want from that 4 car. Split the 3 car from the 25 and boost that points lead.
And of course, as we just saw there, when the Pilet interview was going on, even though this is a fast, wide flowing track, when it comes to the overtaking, you have to get a bit physical. You have to hip check the next guy. And there's been a lot, as we've seen from races all weekend, a lot of touches.
Let's take another look at that, Justin. It was heading down that back straightaway into turns 14 and 15. And Ollie Gavin had a little bit of a run on Billy Oberlin and then just really made the moment stick as they got into the brake zone. He went the long way around. Billy Oberlin held the center line. And then you can see go side by side there, and then as you turn to the other direction, suddenly you just force him a little bit wide.
A lot of direction, a lot of elevation. You see the little brow, you go down a little hill now. I tell you what, this was a very
chooses the left.
Yeah.
This is the key. Once he goes to the left, you're no longer allowed to move back to the other side. You've made your move, don't react. That's what the race director doesn't want to see you reacting. Be proactive, pick your line and stick to it.
Probably good decision by Oberlin, too, to back out of it once he realized that the corner was basically the Corvettes.
Well, that's what happens with these top experienced drivers. They'll push every little bit, but, you know, in the end, they make the pass. As we saw earlier, Bill Sweetley is very strong in second place in GTD. Brian, his teammate, must be looking on with proud.
Yeah, Townsend Bell down here on the box, and so much more than just a driver down here. Townsend, I know a lot of coaching going on. What is it about VIR and Bill Sweedler in this Ferrari that makes the package so good? He's having a great run and a great run in qualifying.
Bill's been absolutely incredible, and really, I think since Road America, I kind of took a different approach with him on the radio and just absolutely hammering him, do this, do that. He didn't need much, but I think just a little extra encouragement. He's been on fire the last 2 races, just driving impeccably. He's so precise, he's aggressive still, and the lap times, I mean, he's chasing down that Audi right now, and the Ferrari's handling very well.
I know we've got a long way to go, but let's talk championship as well. As you look forward to the championship, you guys actually look to the checkered flag at Petit Le Mans, or are you just looking at the checkers each weekend, knowing if you check those boxes off, you'll get the championship?
Well, we know we need to win some races here. We haven't won a race this year. We've been, you know, fairly solid, but we haven't been spectacular, and we're going to need to do that to make up the points deficit. 3rd right now, but we do have our eyes on Petit, just trying to build the momentum. We know we can't go from a D to an A overnight. We don't want to be a C, but if we can do a B, B+, base hit kind of mentality today, that'd be great. If we win, even better.
Solid to spectacular. That's what they're looking for, in the words of T-Bell.
Well, certainly one thing that will be helping their cause a little bit, Brian, is that there was what we call adjustment of performance on a couple of the big names there. Aston Martin, who lead this championship, lost a little bit of restrictor, lost 250 RPM. The Viper that won at Road America, a bit heavier this weekend, less RPM. So that's all going to have an effect as we see the balance here today.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, the Ferrari, I think the genre of the Ferrari here as well is very strong, isn't it? The base platform we're seeing, Caffer having such a strong run in the 62, Bill Sweedler in the 63, just looking so strong in GTD. It's good. The Ferrari is a strong, literally, strong horse here.
Nick Tandy remains on the lead in the factory Porsche. I want to go back to Jamie's interview with Patrick Pilet. I was talking with Jörg Bergmeister yesterday, and I asked that very question. You know, all the other drivers are 2 by 2 by 2 in points, co-drivers, teammates. The Porsche guys are all over the place, 1 by 1. Pilet's 3rd, Jörg is 6th, Tandy and Earl Bamber are 9th and 10th. I said, well, why is that? What's Porsche's strategy? He says, we just don't have enough factory drivers at all the series Porsche races around the world. We know about World Endurance. We know about their success with their prototype program. They just don't have enough hands on deck.
Well, that really got complicated at the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca weekend when there was also a corresponding World Endurance Championship race over in Europe. And suddenly it's like, how do we make this work but keep one of our guys in the championship hunt? And that guy really has become Patrick Pilet. He's still competing over there, but certainly that was a factor, and that's why you see him really up in the thick of the points battle. His teammates are there to win, do the right thing for the guys who employ them, as in Porsche, and support their teammate as he tries to now win this Drivers' Championship.
Of course, Sweetler's really caught up on the back of Von Moltke there in the Audi. This is good stuff. I mean, obviously, as we know, we all said catching up is one thing, overtaking another, but Bill's got some good momentum, and I know Townsend just said he's taking a different approach on the radio. Excellent interview there, and I think he'll be looking on with proudness.
Well, he's just really confident, and it just snowballs. Once you get to that confidence level, particularly at a racetrack like this and the high-speed S's, if you feel the car's underneath you, suddenly the lap time will be there, and Bill has that this weekend.
Especially, let's say, in all fairness, for the amateur, the gentleman, the semi-professional driver, because they need all the confidence. The pro has to be able to turn it on every week without fail because he's getting a big check. Townsend's coaching Bill to evolve, to be faster as it goes along. Great stuff.
Yeah, Bill Sweetler from Westport, Connecticut, trying to run down that man. Floridian Dion Von Moltke in the Audi. We'll be back live to Virginia International Raceway for more of the Oak Tree Grand Prix.
Temperatures are one of the most important factors in developing and using race tires. Michelin engineers are constantly checking the ambient temperature as well as the track temperature, but most importantly, they're taking the tire temperature every single time the car comes into pit lane. The engineers stick the tire in 3 different locations: the outside edge, the center, and the inside edge. These 3 sticks tell the engineers if the tire is distributing the load or if one particular part of the tire is being overworked. Until now, all of Michelin's tires were designed for triple or even quadruple stints at Le Mans. But with different pit rules here in the TUDOR Championship, there's little advantage to multiple stints. As a result, Michelin introduced the first generation of a new single stint tire at Road America. Those new tires worked so well that Porsche's Nick Tandy broke the GTLM race lap record by nearly 2.5 seconds. But race day temperatures were higher than expected and beyond Michelin's targets for that tire. The track here at VIR was resurfaced last year, and on a sunny day, that can raise track temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees. So race day weather will decide whether or not Michelin releases these trick single stint tires to their teams.
Back to live pictures, and tires very much a big part of the story today at VIR, Calvin.
Yeah, big time in terms of the strategy, and the reason it is so critical here, Bob, is that the track temperature, as Jamie alluded to, is quite extreme. As we look at the graphic here at various circuits that we run in the TUDOR Championship, you can see there the difference between the air and the actual track temperature, where the rubber is meeting the road here, is unbelievable. This is a number we saw here yesterday, and we expect more of the same thing here today. 43 degrees split between the ambient and the track temperature, so it's extremely high, and that means getting that tire combination correct is really paramount to get. Oh, look at this. Orbelin tried to move around the outside of Ollie. Gavin gave him no room there.
And it almost went a little wrong. But you know what? You saw Bill setting him up, and I was about to say, I was thinking as you were talking, that Bill is actually a little faster than the Corvettes in front of him. And you know, Oberlin, he sat next to me or behind me on the plane on the way in. He is a racer through and through.
He is feisty, and let's not forget the championship. I mean, this is the wingman to the number 3 car that's leading this championship right now, and he's not given Bill Oberlin any room at all.
No, I mean, and Bill, do you know Bill is actually only, his second winningest sports car driver. Isn't that amazing? As we watch this move, he sets him up down the inside after turn 1. He's coming along. The Corvette was very generous with his own line there.
I'm not sure Ollie, I mean, he knew he was close, but I'm not sure that Ollie would have realized when you think about your sight line as you're looking through here, your natural line is to come back over to the right like the 3 car in front, and I'm not sure that he realized Billy had such a good run along the outside. Oberlin will be thinking totally different to that, of course.
Yeah, you mentioned temperatures. I think Bill just went up a few degrees. That battle will continue. Meanwhile, here's Brian in the pits.
Down at BMW Team RLL. John, looking on right now as Lucas Lohr is out there in the 24. The guys were just talking about tire strategy, and we were talking about the different tire strategy between these 2 cars. When you run that single stint tire all around, you get better grip, but what's the wear going to be like in the heat of the day?
Well, we're about to find out. I mean, up to this point in the race, it's been as expected. We've been a bit quicker than our teammates because we're on the different strategy. What we haven't seen yet is the degradation. So, we got a little bit of a feel for that in practice. We could go kind of close to a stint, but with such high temperatures here this weekend, we're not sure quite how far we can go. So we're just monitoring the pace and playing it by ear. But Our car, the black car, you know, we're further back in the championship, so we could afford to take a bigger risk. We see that paying off in the pace of the car right now, but the goal is to see if we can actually afford an extra stop and if our pace is high enough to make that happen.
And I'm sure you guys tested it throughout the weekend, but for the folks at home, when you run an asymmetric setup, maybe that harder compound on one side, that single stint on the other, does it change the balance of the car significantly? I mean, basically that's what Bill's dealing with right now.
Yeah, I ran that in practice. I was actually the only driver to run that in practice, but it really did disconnect the car. It just took a little bit less grip, or took a little bit of grip away from that left front. So turn 9, at the end of the S's, I could go flat with all 4 A's. But as soon as we put that medium on the left front, I just had to have a little lift. So it just takes away that little bit of grip. But fortunately, you can put 1 tire, you can put 2 tires on, and it doesn't disconnect the whole car. So the car's still basically the same to drive. He's just got to wait on it a little longer in those right-hand corners.
It's all about the strategy, guys. Do you want to go fast now, or do you want to go a little bit slower, but for a longer period of time?
Yeah, certainly lots to discuss there. We saw a great battle at the front in the GTD lead battle. But what we're talking about here, and Brian talked about the asymmetric lineup of your tires, what they've done on the 25, they've changed the left front after qualifying. They're running these single stint tires all the way around on the BMWs for quali. But for the race today, Bill Auberlen has essentially a harder tire on the left front. For durability, you give up lap time at the same time when you do that.
33 hits the pit lane.
Meanwhile, Bill Sweedler is right up the chuff of Dion von Moltke, and this is just fantastic. I'm going to throw this out there to the Twitter universe. Has Bill ever taken on his own the lead by overtaking for the lead of GTD? I don't know he has. This is a big moment for him. He's led lots of races, but to actually hunt the guy down and take the lead would be amazing. So I'm sure he's thinking the same thing. Right now, he just wants to go by. But Townsend will be saying, be patient. We can win this race. Yeah. I can win this race if you bring me the car in second place. So don't mess it up.
That radio communication in terms of getting in faster is important, but right now it's even more important in terms of be patient, Bill. Don't throw this away. We've got a quick car here today. We're in the thick of this championship. Don't get too hasty right now.
We just saw the 33 Viper end with Ben Keating behind the wheel. I went to Bill Riley and asked him if that was a routine stop, maybe something strategic, and he said no, it was a flat spot. The right front tire locked up into a corner, and it wears the rubber off and makes a literal flat spot on the tire, and the vibration becomes undrivable. So Keating had to make that stop. That's going to put them off their game a little bit, but it's better to have that problem early. You can fight back from it and have it late.
Stay there, he's outside.
Great battle for the lead in GTD. Does Bill Sweedler have it? Yes, he does.
Townsend talked him through it. He said, stay there. He's on your outside, but you got the inside line for turn 3 as you turn in there. Great move. Right on threshold braking there. I don't think there's a flat spot, but you could see to get that overtaking maneuver done, he had to use all of that Continental tire up and takes the lead. A nice move.
And he made it stick afterwards. Great call, great work by the team. And also hats off to von Moltke too. He knew he was there, and it was very clean all the way through. As we watch it again as he comes down, the Ferrari is a little quicker at terminal velocity coming down in here. You break down a little hill. He goes down the inside, but looks up, look. Right now, he looks up the rear, front right. The Audi goes down the inside, and Townsend correctly calls, stick it, stay there, stay there. Don't trust your natural reaction and back out. You have the next left-hander. And right now, if Bill can absolutely keep his head down, he can extend this lead. That was fantastic driving.
What a great pumped up. He will be pumped. That is exciting to see. I mean, they led the championship a lot last year, running with a different team with AIM Autosport, and they got away from them right at the end. But right now, they're still in there. They're right in the hunt. A mere 9 points out of the lead, so anything can happen here with 3 rounds to go.
And we can't overemphasize the top 4 cars in class have yet to win a race. You heard Townsend Bell say earlier, we really want to win. Today could be their day. Back live at Virginia International Raceway at the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche. Bob Varsha, Calvin Fish, Justin Bell, Jamie Howe, and Brian Till. Glad to have you with us this weekend. A great race going on, all GT cars. And right now, the significant battle is for
Fifth and
Fifth
sixth
place.
right
There we
now.
go. Yep.
And they're 1-2 in the championship right now, Bob. We've been seeing some real argy-bargy, as we call it, between not these two, but the 25 and the 4. We saw it earlier, and Billy Orblin finally forced his way through, and now he's attacking Jan Magnussen for that next spot. He is fired up.
He's fired up, but he's also got something very strong about the handling of that BMW. He's able to, especially when we watch the end car, he's able to brake that bit later, especially in the medium to high speed corners, and make it stick. This is how he got past the Oliver Gavin car. He went down the inside here into turn 1.
Watch this, though. Gavin gets into him a little bit. I don't think Ollie had to come over that way that early. And there's another great look here from the onboard.
Yeah, it was definitely a case of Bill saying, listen, this isn't happening twice in a row. Watch this. He pulls across a little bit just to make his mark. You know what? Held on to it. I think there was a little touch by Gavin just to let him know that he knew he was barging his way past. Brian?
You know, earlier in the day, we talked to Jay O'Connell from BMW Team RLL, and he said, you know, we're a little bit faster than one of the Corvettes down the straightaway, a little bit slower than the other. We're going to be the meat and the sandwich. That's exactly what we have seen. That BMW, though, good downforce, good handling. It's quicker in the corners, but hey, you got to get close and be able to get by him on the straightaway, and that's Oberlin's biggest problem right now.
Well, we talked about Billy Orblin being fired up, but this was the radio communication between he and the team. Certainly you want to let them know what was happening.
Left rear tire pressure. You hit me again, the left rear. Nice job, Bill.
So he just wanted to let the team know he was tagged in that left rear corner. Check the telemetry, make sure I've got tire pressure in that Michelin.
Yeah, we see a lot of this side-to-side contact. Look at he's right up behind him as they come out, but this Corvette just stretches its legs. But it'll be interesting as they go down the compression at the end of the straight. There's traffic up ahead. That's a GT car. Look, Magnussen is flashing his lights saying, don't hold me up through the most technical part of this track. We'll see. Will Billy be able to really capitalize on it? He is good in these medium speed corners, especially around the outside offline.
Other key moment was the 73 hitting pit lane. Let's find out what's going on with Jamie.
Well, that was an unscheduled pit stop, Bob. They're having some temperature issues. Spencer, what is Patrick Lindsay dealing with behind the wheel right now?
Well, we're not 100% sure. At first, we had a sensor we thought was showing low water pressure. We thought it was a sensor issue because all the temps looked good, but after a couple laps, the temps started to creep up. So we got a couple issues now. Hopefully, the changes that we made, we put a little water in it, took some blockers off. Hopefully that'll fix the car, but even if it is, now we didn't stop quite in our win-to-go window, so we're gonna have to do 2 more stops. Whereas I think, you know, some of the other cars will have to do 2. And our strategy now is just 10 minutes behind everyone else. So unfortunately, this isn't good. If we can get a yellow and the car's okay, we'll still be in it, but we need some luck right now.
And we have a car that's spun on track. They need some luck too.
And that car was the BMW Z4 of Bill Oberlin as the battle escalates in GT Le Mans.
Oh, I tell you what, if he was fired up before, he will be now. That was, we're going to see in a replay in a second exactly what happened, but Bill had made such amazing strides. He was definitely pushing to go past, and you see going down the long straight, he clears the GTD car. There's a compression going down under braking here. He goes to the inside of Magnussen. Goes to the outside of Magnussen.
He just gets it wrong. Billy just got in there a little bit too deep, I think. Nothing that Magnussen did there. He ran the normal line.
It literally was. And the brakes, as you go down here, Calvin, right now, you lose a little bit of braking distance, and he goes around. That was just hard, tough racing. Lost the advantage for sure. So as you watch it now in real time, look how fast, looking back from the Gavin car.
I think he didn't want to get into Magnussen. He just leaned on that brake pedal a little bit more, got more weight transfer to the front of the car, and then just lost the rear end.
Yeah.
He was turning in.
Timing and scoring, but I think he just lost 1 place to Oliver Gavin of the number 4 Corvette.
End of a great run. All right, Bill, you got to just get your head down.
Nope, he lost 2 places. There's the number 17 Falcon car.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. He's got to get his head down, but he wasn't touched. He's only got probably pretty horrible tires on the car right now, and he's just got to get the end of this stint.
Coming up on 37 minutes in, all green flag. Now let's pick up the action in GTD. Looking. It's the 17 GTLM car. We understand the 73 that we just heard about from Spencer Pumpelly has gone to the garage.
Yeah, they're having a little solitary weekend. The Falcon Tires car, Brian Sellers in behind the wheel right now. You know, it's funny, the car gets up to speed really quickly in qualifying. We saw them really jump up there, one of the early runners, but
the end of the day, obviously, it's your ultimate time that matters. Why is that, Calvin? The car's been so fast early on. They're not sister cars, but let's just say distant relatives are running at the front. So what's happening?
Well, with the Falcon Tire car, I mean, well, they're obviously the only Falcon Tire machine in the category. And I spoke to Wolf and Brian this morning, and they said, listen, the tire comes alive very quickly. It doesn't degrade or go off, but we can't get the optimum grip that the other teams are getting. And I think that's really a state of play. Michelin have come on these last 2 rounds with this single stint tire, because it's an advantage. They're not going to run it at Coda. They're not going to run it at Petit Le Mans. It's not suited to those racetracks, but I think it's really upped the game. And suddenly, as leaving Brian Sellers and Wolf Hansler with a big task on their hands.
The only representative of that tire brand in the series. All the data comes from that one race car. The only privately run factory spec Porsche in the series. Corvette's coming up on our GTD class Audi.
They'll be approaching Bill Sleater there. He's held a nice couple of second lead there. The Corvettes are probably taking a bit of a breath of relief right now because they're able to do their own thing. Down to the pits, Brian, with the 24 car.
Lucas Luhr in for new Michelin's going on, fuel going in as well. We talked about this earlier. It's a faster tire, but it wears faster, and the team knew that the 24 would have to pit earlier. Expect about 32 laps for the 25 with this softer tire. In the heat of the day, they had to pit earlier in the 24.
Yeah, and we talked about that with Jay O'Connell, Brian and I this morning. This was really their strategy going in. Basically go for a 3-stop race for this car on the more aggressive tire strategy at around the 40-minute mark. We're just shy of that. Expect the other car, the 25 car, that may change now with Bill Auberlen having a spin. Maybe there's some damage to those tires. They will try and run the fuel tank out, which should take them for about 54 minutes. Then they can do it on just 2 stops down pit lane.
Yeah, it allowed actually Dion Vermeulen to catch up a little bit on Bill through the traffic there, but these two got the measure of each other. They both are probably getting instructions from the pit box. Don't mess this up, guys. You're having an amazing stint.
About 8 seconds over Christina Nielsen, who's having a really solid run here. Remember, she's got that drinks bottle issue, had a little off yesterday. That's going to shake your confidence a little bit. Spoke to Kevin Buckler last night. He said she never does that. So that when you spin off a lot, it's like, okay, it's another moment. When you never do it, it's like, where did that come from?
Absolutely, and this track is one that we've seen quite a lot of off-track excursions over the weekend. You're on the limit all the way around, and if you go off, you're going to slide on this lovely green Virginia grass.
40 minutes into this 2-hour, 40-minute event live on Fox Sports. Here's one more look. A very awkward moment for veteran Bill Auberlen in the BMW. Stay with us. Back live at VIR. If you like what you're watching, check out IMSA's all-new app featuring TUDOR Championship and Continental Tire Challenge, as well as coverage of other IMSA series. You'll see live streaming of races, live radio, full timing and scoring, latest news and videos, details on the events and the competitors, and you can customize your experience to follow your favorite manufacturer. It's all there on IMSA's new app. Go for it. Back at VIR, bright sunshine right there. The clouds beginning to gather overhead. That, of course, will cool the track a little bit and change people's tire strategies, perhaps. No change. Nick Tandy continues to lead in a Porsche RSR. Pierre Caffer in the Ferrari is second. There they are. Then Jörg Bergmeister in the second factory Porsche. And then the Corvettes of Jan Magnussen and Oliver Gavin.
It was great talking to Pierre Caffer this morning. He's saying qualifying, he was so upset after qualifying. He said we had every problem for a weekend in one qualifying session, and obviously they had a cut tire. It went down right from the beginning. What happened was it went down very slowly, Calvin, but the other 3 went up, so the delta was much bigger. And he said, and I said, but you must have been actually happy with the way you performed. He said, 20 minutes after I had a little quiet time in the truck, I realized it was a great qualifying time. He said, and I also realized something else. After my career and what I've been doing, I still have the passion, and I would have been more upset if I hadn't have cared. Yeah. So I think that's the spirit of these drivers, and right now they're the sole bullet in GTLM, chasing hard Nick Tandy in that 911 Porsche.
Meanwhile, over the GTD class, Christina Nielsen, the points leader among drivers coming in, runs third for TRG Aston Martin Racing. Let's hear from her co-driver with Brian.
Kuna Whitmer standing by, and I know you're going to be getting in the car soon. Right now, Christina, without that drink tube, how difficult is that going to be?
Well, definitely. It's pretty steamy out. It'll be tough, but we'll get through it.
All right, now, you're not in it for the championship, and yet you're going to help try to carry Christina to the championship. As you look forward to today and the next 2 rounds, what is the focus for you guys to help try to get it to the top by the end of the season?
Well, you just said it. I mean, it's another round in the books. I mean, you know, we can't look at it as a point race right now. We have to look at it as one more round, and then Texas, and then Atlanta. So right now, it's to the front. We got to get to the front, get that win, podium, and definitely try and stay ahead of some of the points leaders. So we got to run a clean race. That's the most important thing. Right now, we're running really clean. Car's good. Everything is up to par with strategy, and you know, except for the drink tube, that's the only problem.
That's the only problem. Easy to say when you're standing out here. Now, guys, the chemistry, once Kuna Whitmer came on board and shares this car with Christina Nielsen, has been absolutely magic, Kevin Buckler says, and you guys know how important that chemistry is between drivers and team.
Yeah, no question about it. And this championship is so tight. I mean, right now, Bill Sweedler and the Ferrari, Dion von Moltke and the Audi are ahead. Von Moltke and his teammate, Christopher Haase, are second in the championship by a hair. So everybody has to watch everybody in this class throughout this race.
I think you teed it up really nicely in the open, Justin. I mean, none of these top 4 teams in GD have seen victory lane, and at some point you got to step up. And I think we're seeing a demonstration of that right now. Bill Sweedler, you know, it's very much a split race with the Pro-Am, the gentleman driver, the guy who's not supposed to be earning his living from racing. That's obviously a bit of a gray area, which we'll touch on at another time. But then you get the pros in, so there's a real strategy to that. But they have to make a statement too. You can't just rely on the closer. Oh, we see the 44 car going for a spin.
That's John Potter.
You know, hats off to John there. He realized he was coming back on track, but he looked to the right quickly and gave it gas to clear across, because you don't want to be a sitting duck in the middle.
And I couldn't control it. It steered off. I'm back on track and driving.
The S's, there's a little brow in there where the cars get very light. Easy to get caught out.
I'm not sure if he's cut down the left front. He may have a cut down left front.
There's
Just
another
running through there. He missed it a little bit. Maybe the left front was already going down to cause him to run a little bit wide through there, Justin.
I think it did. You saw a puff of smoke just before he took to the garage.
Yeah, he just didn't have the turn in the car. There was no real mistake there or moment. He just suddenly didn't have the turning ability. And a little bit later on, after we get through this moment, you'll see it looks like the left front is definitely down. So he may have had to see it right there. You can see it's down on the rim, down on the floor. So I think the tire issue created the problem, not the other way around.
Good, well handled to John Potter, and he's always got a weekend job here mowing the grass for Connie.
The key is the clock, though, because right now you have to do 50 minutes minimum drive time. We're only at 48, so this really kills them strategy-wise. If we had 2 minutes further down the road, they could have brought him in, got Lally in, no harm, no foul. This is going to hurt them big time. They have to keep John Potter behind the wheel.
Think you tell him to slow down just that little bit? He's about 90 seconds away from the 50-minute mark.
I would have gone into the back pit lane. I mean, I'm saying that with the hindsight here. Slowed up for a minute and pulled out, because that wouldn't have turned a full course yellow.
They can send him out for one more lap and do it again, but it's just the time coming down pit line. That costs you about 30 seconds right there as we see the 9-1 tube coming in. Jörg Bergmeister, first of the front run, and GTLM run as well. Jamie.
That's right, it's the 62 from Risi Competizione, first to hit pit lane. Now this team has had the best pit stop in the GTLM category in the last couple of races, and that's not a fluke. They practice morning, afternoon, and night when they were back at the shop. Got to watch on them right now. The fueling is still going in. And it's out. A great pit stop on pit lane. They have these markers right down here on pit road. If we get the camera to come right over here, markers on the floor. There's one that says okay. There's one that says okay, and there's one that says team flies first class. That means on the driver's dime, he was over that one. So it wasn't a perfect stop, Brian.
Ollie Gavin out of the number 4 Corvette. Tommy Milner climbing in. Milner, a Virginian by birth. He'll climb in, see if he can't get this Corvette to the front, but we've talked about it before. They just don't seem to have the balance, the overall speed on the Corvettes as of late. Milner now out on track.
One of the great things about the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship is the access you can get as a spectator, talking to the teams, and it's fascinating to hear about how meticulous they are about their pit stops, about fuel flow, about tire strategy, about the most the tiniest details that make the difference between winning and losing in this series, as competitive as it is.
Tell you what, though, by pitting right now, you look at the clock, an hour and 50 to go. That means that Ferrari and some of these other guys who just made their pit stop have got to go 55 minutes per stint moving forward. They just did under 50. Remember, there's the formation laps and stuff like that to start the race, which actually eats a bit of fuel as well, so that's always a factor. But they're going to be stretching it a little bit, I think, to maybe have to run lean if we stay green the rest of the way.
I mean, interesting, the races over the weekend in every category, we've seen quite a few full course yellows caused by cars not being able to clear off far enough from the edge of this very fast track. Picking up the GTD, their strategy right now, I mean, right now, Dion von Moltke and the Audi isn't probably going to make any risks, especially with Bill running so strong, but this is the dream opening stint for these GTD cars.
Yeah, Bill Sweedler has been outstanding, and you didn't need that graphic to tell you that Dion von Moltke right there in that beautiful Paul Miller Audi is less than a half second behind him.
And I think with these guys, I think you're going to try and see these guys stretch another couple of laps just to really make it 3 equal stints throughout the course of this race. And as I say that, they hit pit lane. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight in terms of getting this next 2 fuel loads to make it to the checkered flag.
They're coming your way, guys.
Oh, watch out, the 17.
Porsche trying to get back on track. That will cost them a few tenths.
Yep. Brian.
Busy down here in pit lane. The 48 is in, as well as the 63. The race now comes to pit road. As you'll watch the Audi and the Ferrari crews battle, we'll have GTLM cars in momentarily. Very busy down here. Townsend Bell behind the wheel of the 63 right now. 4 new Continental tires and fuel going in. Tires are done, waiting for fuel right now, looking up the road to the Audi. Dion von Moltke is out, Christopher Haase is in, and now the 911 is in, Jamie.
And driver change is going to happen on this stop. Patrick Pilet already in the seat. His co-driver Nick Tandy helping him get his belt on. I was watching the crew members before these 2 cars came in. They were practicing their motions, waiting for the cars, so they're not leaving anything to chance here. Patrick Pilet already in. The driver change has to be faster than the fuel and tires. That's the only way to have an effective pit stop. All 4 Michelin tires are done, just waiting on them to now.
Seems like equal pit stops between our GTD leaders. The Ferrari and the Audi leave about the same time with a similar gap as when they hit pit lane, but 2 different co-drivers. The pros are in now, Townsend Bell and Christopher Haase.
And Haase is getting after it. To Brian.
Busy again down here on pit lane. The 3 is in. Jan Magnussen climbing out. Antonio Garcia climbing in. BMW right behind. The 25 is in. There'll be a driver change there as well. Dirk Werner taking over for Bill Auberland. Once again, the races come to pit road, and these crews going to work, changing tires, fuel going in. The Corvette's down and away. BMW is still waiting, and now Dirk Werner chases the Corvette off pit road.
Get that Corvette.
Let the battle resume.
As if he needed to be told. There you see the flashing leader lights on the side of the cars. Red on the GT Le Mans cars, blue on the GT Daytona machines. They tell the spectators and you at home where that car is in the class running order.
GTD championship leader hits pit lane. A great stint for Christina Nielsen. Kevin Buckler pushing the envelope a little bit further on that fuel mileage. Brian's there.
Christina Nielsen climbs out, and Kuno Whitmer will take over. It'll be 4 new Continental tires. This car working very, very well. And like I said earlier, more importantly, the chemistry between Kuno Whitmer and Christina Nielsen has been spectacular. They get along well. They like the same car setup, and it has showed with a performance. Remember, Whitmer joined this team at Watkins Glen, and they've really, really hit their stride since then. Whitmer now getting belted in. The fuel is done. Door closed.
Interesting to watch the choreography of that driver change. Kuno Whitmer got on. He takes the right side belts and hooks them up to the center lock. The driver assistant hooks up the left side belts. And the driver change was complete when the service was done. And that's the goal. We'll be back to Virginia International Raceway live.
Yeah, I still remember the last VIR race in 2014 when I had a fight with Fisichella.
Fisichella looks to the inside. This is going to be tight. Awesome action. Oh, he's fine. He's fine.
white flag next time around.
It's a white knuckle ride.
Here comes the Ferrari. He's got a nose on it now.
Perfect job by Wolf Hensler. Oh, Giancarlo looks to the inside. He loses him. He hits him. Fisichella putting it all on the line. Here comes the Ferrari. Fisichella looks for the lead. He takes Hensler.
Left-handed coming up. He got him.
What a move. Can he hang on here for the last 2 3 corners? Hensler backs up.
Pierre Caffer and Giancarlo Fisichella win GTLM at VIR.
Great race. One of the best races of my life.
It owes us one this year.
It must be said that Pierre Caffer and Wolf Hensler shared a hug between competitors after that awesome race last year. Welcome back live to VIR. I'm Bob Varsha with Calvin Fish, Justin Bell, Jamie Howe, and Brian Tiller in the pit lane. A great battle thus far, coming up on an hour into this 2-hour, 40-minute race. No yellow flags. We've been green all the way. Let's talk a little bit about the storylines that have shaped the season coming into VIR. Calvin?
Well, it's certainly been a fantastic season in GTLM, and at the start of the year, it was all about Corvette. They took the 2 big Enduros at Daytona and then followed that up with the 12 Hours of Sebring. Then in California, it was BMW. First the 25 and then the 24. But then after the summer break where Porsche won at Le Mans, boy, oh boy, what a run Porsche have been on. One at the Glen, one at CTMP, and then at the last round at Road America. They are on a roll right now.
Well, we keep talking about it in GTD. Who wants to win a race in this class? It's been so tough. Christina Nielsen, she came in here as the points leader. And of course, Ferrari, they are showing their head throughout this race especially. But Viper, they won 3 races in 2 different cars, but they're not really in the top 4 or 5 coming through this race. So it's still up for grabs. Who wants to win it? Who will win it all? That is the big question here.
Well, those are our storylines on the day. Let's get you up to speed on what's happened thus far in this frantic race. A great GTLM battle. Oliver Gavin in the bright yellow Corvette, Bill Oberlin in the BMW.
Well, this battle just did not want to go away. Ollie Gavin got that position, then Bill Oberlin tried to get it back. He gets squeezed there by Ollie Gavin, and then a little bit later, he finally makes the move, but the action was not over. Trying to put the pressure on Jan Magnussen. He gets in too deep into turn 1, turns that BMW way. Got lucky there. Traffic avoided him. He's continued.
Yeah, but in GTD, I tell you what, the 48 was it was literally waiting for Bill Sweetler to go by. Bill was having some excellent radio communication from Townsend Bell on the pit box, who said, hold it in there, stick it in there. You can hold it, Bill. And he did. And of course, ended up in pit lanes not long after.
This in replays, the 2 GTD cars pitting, and you see Townsend Bell taking over for Sweetler in the 63 Ferrari. Leads the Audi out. Christina Nielsen, the points leader, coming in, finally getting a drink after losing her drink bottle on the warm-up lap. Back to live pictures now.
Well, I tell you what, Townsend Bell went out just ahead of Christopher Haas, and Haas has been all over that rear shiny red bumper of that Ferrari for the last 2 or 3 laps. Coming down here, I mean, Townsend is an experienced, canny driver, and he knows how to hold in front. But the big question would be, you don't want to burn through your tires right now. Anyway, while this battle is going on, a rather hot and sweaty, but way too calm and composed Nick Tandy, who came into the pits from the lead, is with Jamie.
He is very calm and composed right now. Nick, you started on pole, you led through your entire stint. The AOP has certainly helped the Porsche, but this team has come alive. What's had the biggest effect?
I don't know. You know, it's obviously clear that since Michelin have brought out the latest tyre for the GTLM cars, we've been really good when it's hot. And you know, the temperatures are up today. They were up in qualifying yesterday, and we were good. But the team's working well as well. You know, the car is set up really well. We're concentrating where we're good. The team's working together well, and we've got confidence. But I mean, this race, it's really tight on fuel. It's close to do it on 2 stops. So a lot of the pace of the cars, it depends on how much fuel saving you're doing. We're driving flat out. You know, the cars are perhaps turned down a little bit depending on your sort of fuel mileage, but it looks good for us.
All right, strategy is going to be important at the end of the race, guys.
You saw the number 33 GTD Viper in the pits. Ben Keating giving over to his teammate, Jeroen Bleekemolen. Currently shown 7th in GT Daytona.
Right now, back at the front of GTD, of course, this battle between Townsend Bell and Christopher Haas doesn't seem any sight of easing up right now. but it is wearing through these tires. These cars are running flat out, and as we just heard from Nick Tandy, the fuel thing will be the same. The strategy will have the effect all through both classes, right, Cal?
Yeah, the good news for Nick Tandy is that he went a couple of laps longer than his teammate and the Ferrari, so he's in a bit better shape the rest of the way. But talk about Nick Tandy, they're working hard. He's also trying to find the limits, and we saw that here yesterday in practice where he had a little off and actually got involved with the 97 Turner Motorsport Z4. So let's take a look at that replay from yesterday. He gets off really wide, and he just said he didn't know that Marcus Paltala was coming around. He tried to get offline, which is exactly the same spot that Marcus had chosen. Bit of damage there to the left front corner. Nick went up to the team, to the Turner Motorsport team, apologized, said, my bad, but 20 grand hit right there on that BMW.
Yeah, before I did that when I was racing, I used to check on how big the driver was. Oh, look, Christopher Haas is down the inside. Townsend still has the line on the inside to stick it through the left. I mean, I think that's showing a lot of intent there. The Audi right now is probably a little faster than the Ferrari, but Townsend's hoping he can just get to that point when the tires degrade, they start to heat up, just that little extra, they go off a bit, and then they'll even out. I think that's probably his plan. Right, Cal?
Well, we certainly saw that in the stint. If we can relate it to their co-drivers, Dion took off. The Audi was quicker at the beginning, then Bill Quarterman took him. So maybe that Ferrari does come on a little bit stronger later in the run, certainly.
These two guys have been no further apart than that since they got into the cars about 5 laps ago.
Yeah, you could see them hopping there through the S's. That's a beautiful shot. Just see them almost airborne there. They actually shaved down the curbing in turn 8. We actually saw cars hitting that, but he's on board here as the... Oh, this is what sets this up. Fisichella gets down the inside and brushes almost Townsend. Townsend had to wait, allowed Hasser to get on the power earlier, but Townsend said, what you got? And takes it back.
You ain't got enough. And I tell you what, Townsend, as we know, is so capable, so strong at the famous Indy 500. He's not afraid of going side by side with someone, and we're seeing it now.
It was almost identical to the Dion von Moltke versus Bill Sweedler action that we saw very early in this race. Back down to the pit lane.
Bill Riley on the box here at the 33. And Bill, I know Calvin was talking earlier about AOP, or adjustment of performance, on some of the Porsches. You got handed a bit of a present, or should I say a surprise, after Road America. What do you need to do as a team to overcome that?
Well, I mean, we work pretty hard, so we just kind of keep our head down and try to overcome it. We played both ways with downforce settings here at VIR to help our straightaway speed, and we're at the best compromise for lap time. We're just not going to be able to race as well with the other cars.
Great to see this Viper, though, with the victory at Road America. This is not the only thing you're working on. Announced this week was that you already have orders on the prototype. Looking forward, how exciting is that, and how big of a job is that going to be to build the infrastructure to build that car?
Well, I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, the team's all pumped up. You know, all these guys work on the other side of the shop from all the other guys at Riley Tech, so we're pretty excited about having, you know, that workload all the way through. I think building these first 3 cars isn't going to be the hard part. It's going to be building chassis 10, 11, and 12. That'll be the hard part for 17.
Big things coming to this program in the future, guys.
No question about it. New rules for the GT Daytona category, the new LMP3 category. A lot going on. That's been an interesting season for that TI Automotive Riley Technologies team. Those Vipers, they won the first 2 Enduros at Daytona and Sebring with the sister car, the 93, that was never meant to do the whole season. Ben Keating got points off of those events, but then it took a while for the 33 to finally break through in our most recent race at Road America. So they've been winning races, but their points are split between 2 cars in the championship. I guess that's a good problem to have. We'll take a break and return live to VIR. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway. Tonight, the NFL on Fox is back with a preseason showdown as Nick Foles and the Rams take on Marcus Mariota and the Titans. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, only on Fox and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. No change since we left you before the break. We want to tell you about the DECRA Green Challenge. Challenge is to be clean, fast, and efficient using a complicated algorithm designed by scientists that I could never explain, but the idea is to be quick and successful with minimal impact on the environment. The idea is to score the lowest number of points possible, and right now, Corvette occupies 2 of the top 4 spots in the DECRA Green Challenge. With a couple of races to go at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and Road Atlanta following today's event at Virginia International Raceway. Back to the action. We'll go on board with the number 97, Turner Motorsports BMW.
Well, Marcus Paltella now behind the wheel, and he's just set the fastest lap of the race in the GTD category at 1:48.4, which compares to like a 1:48.7 for the two front runners of Townsend Bell and Christopher Haas. So he's a man on the move. Saw victory lane here last year with teammate Dane Cameron when Dane went on to win the championship. So the car is quick here. And Marcus has certainly been on a roll recently. Won the 24 Hours of Spa. And the man that they have on their pit box is the man we call the Iceman. Don Salama is one of the best strategists in the business. And why is he so cool? Let's take a look what he did on his weekend off. A couple of vodkas in Iceland. You been there, JB?
I actually have been
You
in
have.
that very... thankfully, I didn't see him looking quite like that. But
goodness.
yes, I went there and test drove a rather beautiful Range Rover across the ice. What a place. You have to go there. Bucket list. It is gorgeous, beautiful, and there's some pretty girls there too.
I went through there once on my way to Europe as a college student. I need to go back and renew old acquaintances. The Turner Motorsport 97 continues on its way in the hands of Marcus Paltella of Finland. Meanwhile, let's hear from Brian Till and another of the GTD competitors.
Cooper McNeil and his teammate Lee Keane, former champions, but Cooper, 2015 season really hasn't gone the way that you guys had wanted it to. How important is it to have a team owner like Alex Job with all that experience kind of keep you guys focused on the future and not the past?
Yeah, it's huge. There's nobody better in the business than Alex Job Racing. With all these great guys behind us, it's really nice and comforting in the car to know that we've got a really good crew back here that when we do a pit stop, I know it's going to go really well and really quick. But yeah, right now we're struggling with the heat in the WeatherTech Porsche. Been struggling overall on setup all weekend, but Lee's in the groove now and he seems to be turning some fairly quick laps, so I think we should have a good race car.
Big things though coming in 2016. When you look forward to the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, put a big smile on your face?
Yeah, it's really special for us. I mean, it's been in the works for a while, but it's finally feels good to get it all off all of our backs and let the world know that that's going to happen. But I think bringing IMSA and WeatherTech together, two leaders in their own rights, I think it's going to be a really good relationship for the two of us. And I'm looking forward to the future.
Looking forward to the future, indeed. We're back in the past just a little bit to the morning warm-up. They found some speed in the 22 car, so look for it to move forward in the race, guys.
And look what we have here. Another left front puncture for the number 44 Magnus Racing Porsche.
Well, that's unusual. We really haven't seen different configurations of racetrack here at VIR, and Andy Lally is 3¼ miles to the full lap, so he's going to take the short course, he says, to get back. But as he says that, I don't see him taking it.
No, he's not taking the turns.
Who was it who said, to do it once is unfortunate, to do it twice is carelessness? I don't know quite what just happened, but very unusual.
Well, let's get back up to speed now and enjoy the sights and sounds on board with the Tequila Patron Sounds of Speed. Turn it up. You love mechanical diversity, you came to the right place. Flat 6, V10, V8, thunder around VIR. We'll be back with more of the Oak Tree Grand Prix from VIR, powered by Porsche. There are your class leaders. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway and the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche. Speaking of which, time for a Porsche race break as we take you through our top runners here in round 10 of the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship. You're on board with the race leading car in the hands of Patrick Pilet, taking over from Nick Tandy, followed by the Ferrari of Giancarlo Fisichella and Pierre Caffer, the defending race champions.
Yeah, Lucas Luhr just made a pit stop. They're on a 3-stop strategy today to turn it over to John Edwards. He'll need an additional stop to get to the checkered flag. And there we can see our championship leader, Kuno Wittmer, co-drive with Christina Nielsen there in the 007 on the second page.
Remain third place in GT Daytona. Patrick Pilet and Nick Tandy started from pole for this race. They've pretty much dominated. They are certainly our Nissan halfway leaders.
Some radio communication between Patrick and the team. He's just relating the track conditions for when Nick Tandy, I believe, is going to jump back in for a second stint here today. And the track has got very slippery up in turn 11, which is the corner preceding the Oak Tree turn. So that information is good. You just want that feedback so when your teammate gets in, he knows what the track is doing.
Meanwhile, the number 62, that beautiful red Risi Competizione Ferrari in the hands of Giancarlo Fisichella, the ex-Formula One star. Jamie is with the team manager.
Dave, there's a 15-point deficit right now for you guys in the championship, but what do you as team manager instill in these guys to get race wins?
Basically, the track temperature's gone up, so we're sliding around a bit at the moment, so we're doing adjustments for the next stop to compensate for that.
What are they saying about the car other than it's getting slippery?
It's probably due to the track temperature, so we're going to do some tire pressures on the next stop a little bit different.
I think it is.
Boy, they're going to drop those a little bit, Bob, just so they don't peak quite as much. And Giancarlo went out, had good pace, but Pilet has now pulled a 16-second lead. And as we saw in the early going, it was really mano-a-mano between Tandy and Pierre Caffer. So certainly in this second stint, the balance has got away from them a little bit.
Yeah, you could talk about all that mechanical and strategy stuff. I want to talk about Dave Sims. If you ever want to get a lesson in motorsports history, Dave Sims seems to have seen all of it. A mechanic for the great Jim Clark in his Lotus days. He told me some stories about the parties with guys like Graham Hill, some guy named David Hobbs. I mean, back in the day, it was wild.
Wow, you're going back a long time now. Yeah.
Great guy.
Dave's nose, I think he been through a few bar fights.
That's his nickname, Beaky.
Yeah, everybody knows. And it's great to have his experience. Just imagine it. When he started out in this sport, I mean, literally, you had little old pit boards, and you hope the driver paid attention once in a while to what you were doing. And it was so mechanical, so visceral, so physical. You know, you made, as he was talking about Jim Clark's car that day, unfortunately, that Jimmy died, and he was saying so little adjustments we could make to it. It was so basic in so many ways.
But I think it made that chemistry and that relationship so much more important because you didn't have data, you didn't have telemetry. It was all about the driver relating to his engineer, to his crew chief, what was going on with the race car, and that guy making the decisions based on the information the driver was giving him.
Now it's such a pain. You know what? You just have so
you
much. You
can't say you're flat through a corner. It's like,
oh, you're off 8%. You go, no, I was flat. No, your brain thought you were flat. Your foot was lying.
Something else.
But right now, of course, we're joining back up with this great battle. I mean, this BMW has been. I mean, although they're back in 5th, 6th, 7th place, the Corvettes and the 25 BMW they're at it hammer and nail. And they're obviously very equal on this track, Calvin.
They are, and they're very equal in the points right now. We're only 4 points separating. The problem is the guys right behind them is Patrick Pilet, and he leads this race. He's going to get a bundle if he stays there today.
Great brands in competition here. The Corvette and BMW corrals around this track have been sold out for the longest time. A simple stroll around Virginia International Raceway and you will see some amazing street cars brought here to watch the race.
But
Audi has a car corral of its own, and speaking of which, let's join Brian Till.
Dion von Moltke climbed out of the 48 a little while ago, handed it over to Christopher Haase. And Dion, you guys led the championship for the first half of the season, slips away one race ago. How do you keep the focus, maintain the cool and the calm? You guys running well here today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a difficult question, and it really tests the team. We've got a really strong team here at Paul Miller Racing, and really it's just focusing one race at a time, one corner at a time. That's what we're really trying to do and maximize what we have. Like I said, we've got a great support from Audi Sport Customer Racing, and the team's awesome. So it's just kind of doing our thing, focusing on ourselves, and we'll see where we end up.
3 different manufacturers running up front right now. We saw the strength of the Ferrari a little bit earlier, and we know the Aston Martin is strong. When you look at this racetrack, those 3 marks, who's got the edge?
Yeah, it's in different places. Each manufacturer's strong. Right now, it's really about trying to take care of our Continental tires. The Ferrari seems to be doing a little bit better of a job than that. They're strong mechanical grip for the first sector. I thought maybe we had the edge in the second sector with downforce up to the S's. It's close, but they just seem to be really consistent right now. They're not losing speed. We trail off a little bit, but Chris is a great driver. We got some great strategists up here and a great pit stop. We can still fight for this thing.
Talk about how warm it is, and you just heard him say you got to conserve those tires a little bit. That's going to be the key on the final stint. See what you've got at the end.
It's warm also, Calvin. It's interesting because they repaved this, and this is not many tracks in America have a jet black surface effectively compared to a lot of the tracks you run at. We've seen that increase the surface temperature by 15, 20 degrees, and that is a difference that really tire manufacturers are really struggling with.
Yeah, we saw that graphic earlier where it was like a 43-degree spread based on yesterday's temps here, which is very similar to today. So that's extreme. Normal's around 15 to 25, 43 between ambient and track temperature means it's extreme. It just retains the heat. Even with a bit of cloud cover here today, it's still extremely hot and makes it tricky to get the car right.
Earlier we had a look at the 97, Marcus Baltala for Turner Motorsport. Jamie, there he is. Jamie standing by with the boss.
And Marcus still has the quickest race lap in the race today. Will, I just heard on the radio you're going to start fuel saving right now. How important is it to play these strategy games at this point in the race?
Well, you know, without giving too much away, the Iceman up there, and I still don't know where you guys got those picks, but the Iceman up there wants to try something because we don't have the ultimate pace or the ultimate speed to catch the guys in front of us, and we're not anticipating any yellows. So we're going to try something different and see if we can do it with a shorter time in the pits and try to pass some people in the pits. It might work out, it might not, but we're not gonna win the race this way. So we're trying whatever we can, and the Iceman's master of that kind of stuff.
And you were telling me earlier today, 2 M6s you're going to have in the new GT3 class of the 24 Hours of Daytona. How much of your attention is focused on next year versus this year?
It's still all about this year and balancing the thoughts about next year, but we're really excited for BMW to come up with some M6s, and they seem to be on timeline to deliver them for Daytona. And you know, this car's been great for us. The Z4 has been awesome, and obviously winning the championship and winning some races has been great. But I think it's time to move on to the next best thing, and the GT3 category is going to be just phenomenal for everyone, and we're really looking forward to it and to BMW's support.
All right, let's see what the strategy plays out with today. Thank you, Will. Brian?
Down to TRG, Christina Nielsen. Without that drink tube earlier, we've been talking about tire temperatures and this, that, and the other. Let's talk about cockpit temperatures and how hot it was in that Aston Martin.
It's definitely warm, but you know, when you get focused and the adrenaline kicks in, you're not really thinking about it. It's only to begin with. You're just checking, is everything okay when you're getting into the car? And I couldn't get it. I couldn't get my hands around it. So, but you know, it's okay.
You and Kuno Whitmer really seem to be clicking as far as teammates go. This drive to the championship, how important is it that the 2 co-drivers see eye to eye, like the same setup and all?
It's great. I mean, I actually think I had kind of the same opinion as James. You know, Kuno and I also see eye to eye when it comes to setup. We actually give a lot of the same feedback, which is great, because then we can truly get out of the car what we want, so we can adjust it to what we're looking for to be fast.
And they've got a fast Aston Martin right now. They're looking to get back, or stay, I should say, on top of the championship in GTD.
Yeah, they're certainly running well in the 3rd spot right now. Getting back to what Will Turner was alluding to with saving fuel right now. You're not going to eliminate a pit stop, but what can happen? Save fuel now. If there's a yellow, you all come into pit lane together. You have less fuel to go in the tank. You can maybe leapfrog in pit lane.
Yeah, I'd like just anyone want to tweet their answer to me. What do you remember most about the Will Turner interview? You can tweet Justin Bell TV, and I wonder if the hot-blooded male fans noticed some of the most formidable assets of the Will Turner racing team.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere with that. In fact, what I'm going to do is go to break. The battle continues here at VIR. Stay with us. We won't let you miss a thing. Back live at Virginia International Raceway, where the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche, continues. On board with the number 48 Audi R8 LMS in the hands of Christopher Haase. Time for our Continental For What You Do feature, featuring Haase's teammate, Dion van Molke, a guy who traveled the world well before he got into racing.
I've got one older brother. He's 8 years older than I am, so he kind of beat me up a lot as a kid, but I tried to fight back. It didn't work out too well. We moved around a lot as a family when I was younger. I was born in Houston, and I lived there for 2 weeks, so I know nothing about Houston. When people ask me where I'm from, I kind of say I'm confused because I've kind of grown up all over the place. But for me, the two main homes have been the United States and South Africa. I remember when I was 7 and we were moving to Australia, my brother and I both cried. We did not want to go. Spending 4 years there, I got to love it, and I really understood what it did for me growing up as a person, understanding different cultures. So it's been a really big learning experience, and one that's actually really carried over to motorsports as well. There's so many different cultures here that really can be applicable to the kind of paddock. Man, I am all over the map on music. So you'd be going from Eminem to John Butler Trio, maybe some old school Biggie. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air like you a true player. There we go. I don't know all the words to Big Papa by Biggie Smalls. It's sad. I really need to fix that. I'm gonna go home and study now.
I don't think you needed to tell us that.
No, I think we're proving over the course of these little features that we don't have a band in the making.
Stick to racing, mate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Brian.
48 is in, the 4 also coming down pit lane as well as the 25. Busy down on this end, the leader in GTD, regular service, 4 new Continental tires going on. Also the BMW coming in, a water bottle, Bill Oberlin taking fresh water to Dirk Werner in the 4, just up ahead, going through the routine service. With GT cars only here and running the same type stints, pit lane gets very, very busy.
Also a factor is the fact we've had no full course cautions in this race. There were 3 a year ago.
There's the big factor right there. The 63 car's blasted by that Audi, so advantage Ferrari in the number 63 right now, and Townsend Bell. Kuno Whitman now leads this race. He's going to have to hit pit lane as well. But right now, big delta there between the 63 and the 48.
Here come the BMW and the Corvette back on track after service.
Been a familiar picture today.
Yeah, that fight's a long way from over, isn't it, though? It's, look at them both feeling their
look at
tires.
that. 4 car. Looks like the tires coming alive a little bit quicker, or certainly the driver there. They're certainly trying to get the hammer down. Tommy Miller going up against Dirk Werner right now. This is when the drivers really earn their money. How hard do you push it here without tire temp and tire pressure, without making a mistake?
Meanwhile, pit action continues. The 33 getting service. There you see it. Just up ahead, the 912 GTLM Porsche. Jamie.
And because that number 33 was in pit lane, the 912 could not get a clean shot into the pit box, so he's further away than they would like. It doesn't look like they're having a trouble with the service right now, but it does throw off the flow of the pit stop just a little bit. We've talked about how busy they are. He's down off the jack, so it's still a quick stop.
37-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit. The 007 TRG Aston Martin is in.
He cycled to the front with the pit stop for the 63 and the 48. Brian is there.
Routine pit stop, and this is going to be important. Everything's got to happen perfectly down here. It's tight on the racetrack. You got to make time in pit lane. You certainly don't want to lose it here. Waiting for the fuel, waiting for the fuel. Goes in on one side, vents off the other side. Pit man looking at the fuel nozzle when he sees the fuel come back up. He pulls, and now Kuno Whitmer back underway.
Going to be close here, I think, with the 48. We've got to watch for them as they come down the front straightaway. Can Kuno get out in front of Christopher Haase? I think Christopher Haase just slid through and held on to that second spot, maybe, or is that him coming into the picture? Yeah, he's down there in turn 1.
He's heading through turn 1 right now. Jamie?
911 has also made the stop from the race lead. They are doing a driver change, so Nick Tandy is going to get back behind the wheel of the number 911. 4 new Michelin tires, as well as top him off with fuel to get him to the checkered flag. but also on pit road now is the number 62 from Risi Competizione. So these teams getting to work at the moment. 9-11, they hear the fire underneath me. Driver change as well for Risi. So Pierre Capper will get back behind the wheel of the car. I did look at the tires that were out on the wall ready to go on this car. There's a scrub tire for the left rear. From what the team says, that's probably one of those single stint tires. They have to scrub those, but 3 stickers. So a little bit of tire games being played here as they wait for fuel.
Interesting to see these double driver changes. Not a strategy we see often this year. You reckon that's because of the weather conditions?
I think some of it is that, certainly, and I think from Ferrari's perspective, Fisichella finished the game off last year in a great battle with Wolf Hensler, but certainly Caffer's pace was stronger today. Some of that may have been that tire temperature, tire pressure issue that they had during that middle stint there, but you certainly want your sharpest knife in there for the finish. So a lot of strategy being played here. The problem with the driver change, it can certainly go wrong, so you never like to do 2 unless you need to, but this battle continues here between the 25 and the 4. Tommy Milner looking for a way by Dirk Werner.
Yeah, you could see there, it didn't take much for Dirk just to pull across and just block subtly, making it too hard for him to go down the inside so fast at the end there, winding their way through the very dynamic
cars leave, cars back in. Here's the Falcon car, the number 17 Porsche 911 RSR.
Bit of a solitary run for them today. They've been sporty every time they get the chance, but as you explained very eloquently earlier, Calvin, really the temperature's not working in their favor right now on the Falcon tires, but they've just got to keep racking up points, solid finishes, and I mean, they're doing everything right, the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to the guys, they said there's really nothing with the strategy. I mean, the fuel windows here are so tight with the just over 50-minute stints, but they're doing a double driver change. Brian Sellers qualified. The car did the first stint. Wolfie did a middle stint. Now Brian's back in again, I think. So you could see from the body language that when Wolf Hensler was climbing over the pit wall, it wasn't a happy day so far.
Yeah, as we watch it's so aggressive. It's such a fun fight seeing the BMW there. Dirk Werner, Milner right behind. They're working their way through traffic. Obviously, they've got to keep the pace. But these two literally are like on an elastic band, aren't they, Calvin? I was enjoying listening to the car notes earlier. Such a different vibration and tone, even through our speakers, between front engine, mid-engine, and rear engine. Just amazing to watch. Great work from our technical guys.
Here comes Antonio Garcia from 3rd place in the Corvette. Brian?
4 new Michelin tires going on. They are scrub tires. That leads me to believe that they are that 1-stint tire that Michelin has introduced several races ago. That tire typically gets scrubbed before they put it on. So you see that tire going on the left rear right there. All 4 of them scrubbed, waiting for fuel. On a good pit stop without a driver change, tires are done before the fuel is finished.
Getting back to that single stint tire that Michelin have brought into effect, it seems to be suiting the rear engine, mid-engine cars more. Certainly there's a lot more load through the left front with the front engine cars like the Corvette, like the BMW. They've struggled to get their hands around it and really get the car to work, whereas the Porsche seems perfect. The Ferrari seems really strong as well.
I see some kind of smoke out the back of the 3. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Back to Jamie.
You guys were talking about Team Falcon Tire and the issues that they've had with the tire temperature. Phil giving me the 1 second here. He's on the radio with Wolf, who did stay behind the wheel. Brian Sellers went out to the wall just to give him a fresh drink bottle. But Phil, we talked about the issues that you guys are struggling with. As a team, what do you do to compensate?
We're working harder. We're working really hard. The guys have put a lot of effort in. With the program's finishing, as everybody knows, but nobody's backing off. We're giving it everything we can. It's just a little bit unfortunate this weekend. The new Michelin tire is pretty exceptional, and we're struggling to get a grip with them, but it doesn't mean we're backing off at all. We're giving it everything we can.
Thank you, Phil.
Well, there's no give up in that group from Derek Walker Racing. Phil Howard, one of the best in the business. They got a great team. And obviously that program, in terms of its current guys running in GTLM with the Falcon tire, support is going away for next year. It's a big disappointment to everyone associated with the series, including the fans. But they're digging deep. They're trying to get a program put back together. But they tested here. They thought they had a pretty good tire and going to be in good shape. But it just hasn't worked out. These extreme conditions they thought would suit them, but you just never know.
Yeah, if you'd like to be involved in the sport, that's a good outfit to associate with. Meanwhile, the number 4 Corvette, Tommy Milner, a moment ago had this problem.
down into turn 3.
Ooh, just caught the backside of that curb there, and it took him round. Everyone runs that curb, by the way. It just must have literally been the angle he ran up onto it.
At the right side wheels in the dirt.
He's doing it. Here it is now again. There it is out there.
Just a few inches further onto the asphalt. Now we understand an incident between the 62 Ferrari and the 912 Porsche is under review. Let's show you what the stewards are looking at. Earl Bamber and Pierre Caffer. Caffer leading Bamber. Bamber goes up the inside. There's contact. There's more grinding.
I'll tell you what, that's a pretty aggressive move. I mean, you know, that corner there, I don't know, that's forcing the issue. I mean, okay, Caffer continued, but that is pretty aggressive play. But Bo Barfield, the race director, is really trying to let these guys go hard at it, but that's definitely on the line there, I think.
No action taken. We'll give you another look. On the way to another break. We won't let you miss anything. On the other side, back to live action. Coming up on 3/4 of an hour remaining. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway and the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche. With Calvin Fish, Justin Bell, Jamie Howe, and Brian Till, I'm Bob Varsha. We're past halfway, but it's time for us to offer our Mazda mid-race report with all the highlights of the race thus far. And there's been plenty of action.
Well, certainly between the championship contenders here in GTLM, we see here Bill Auberlen in the mix, going up against the sister Corvette. He and Ollie Gavin seem to be tied at the hip for the first hour of this race. Here's another move.
Yeah, I think Bill just said, okay, this time, Bo, I'm going to give you a little touch. Then Bill, he kind of went in a bit deep, self-enforced error, and it really cost him. It got him out of that immediate hunt.
Meanwhile, in the GTD category, on board the number 48 Audi up ahead, here comes the GTLM Ferrari passing its GT Daytona sister, and that was close.
And this was an interesting moment in traffic here. Townsend Bell had to let that Ferrari slide through, and he maintains the lead there over the 48.
For Christina Nielsen, championship leader in GT Daytona, her race begins with her unable to find her drink bottle on a day with temperatures approaching 90 degrees and humid. She's been replaced by co-driver Kuno Whitmer after a great opening stint, but she paid a physical price for it, as you can see.
Yeah, she certainly seemed up to the task, and they're very much in the mix, running in the top 3 once again as our championship leaders. Here's the latest incident. Earl Bamber getting very aggressive here on Pierre Caffer, going into turn 4, really forcing the issue. And, you know, it's hard racing here. We look from the onboard here. Guys, starting that final stint. Pierre has the right to turn into the corner. He wasn't defending, I don't feel, just taking his normal line, and Earl just forced his way through. And with these decisions, Bob, from the race director, as long as they're consistent, that's the way the game is going to be played. I'm okay with it. What do you think?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Bo Barfield is a veteran race director. He's been very upfront with the teams in the driver meeting, saying, I'm going to let you race hard, and I won't step in. I'll let you solve your problems on the racetrack unless things get out of hand. So it's kind of been have at it, boys. And as you point out, it's like calling balls and strikes. If the umpire calls them the same for both teams, well, then you adjust, because that's just the way the game is going to be played. Now let's go down and hear more from the boss man at Corvette Racing with Brian.
Yeah, Doug Feehan calls the shots here at Corvette Racing. And Doug, the season started so well. 3 still leads the championship, but not nearly the performances that we saw at the beginning of the season. How difficult is it to keep everybody focused on the task at hand?
Well, it's not all hard to keep them focused. I mean, it's an extreme challenge. The drivers love the car. We're running faster than we ran last year, but we're heavier than any other car out here, and we're carrying considerably less fuel. Those are big obstacles to overcome, but you know what, Corvette Racing, we never give up, and that championship is still 3 races away, baby. We got our eye on the ball.
Yeah, I know it's certainly still attainable. You talk about your eye on the ball. You already have your eye on 2016 as well, getting the Corvette ready for next year. It's about to do some testing, correct?
Yep, we're getting that thing ready. We're going over to France on the 15th of September for the performance balancing for the European race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We're looking forward to that. We're also very excited about Ford coming aboard next year. I think all the fans are looking forward to that. I think it bodes very well for the series.
I think that's what's so great about this series and Corvette Racing. They're looking forward to more competition in class.
That's right. Bring it.
They're certainly going to get it next year. A sensation. A lot of new cars coming. Here we see that different strategy. This is the third stop for the 24 machine. John Edwards behind the wheel of that BMW. So they're essentially split this hour and 160-minute race into 4 40-minute stints. We look at the clock there right now, and there we see a little bit of damage on the 62, the car that's running in the third spot. Pierre Caffer, that's probably from that hit or attack that he got from Alabama.
Mugging. A little mugging on the way into that left-hander there. But the big danger, as we pointed out earlier, is cutting a tire. That obviously hasn't happened. On board with the 24 as he pulls back out. John Edwards, interesting, Calvin. What does that do? I mean, obviously they're counting on a free green run to the finish by coming in that spot earlier, right?
Yeah, we spoke to Jade O'Connell this morning, and he just said we've got to be more aggressive with that. And there you can see, basically they've run two different strategies, and there you see the two team cars running on the same piece of racetrack. Yeah. So he said there's really not a lot to gain from it, but he said we're going to roll the dice. That could work one way or the other.
Yeah, the aero package. Oh! Not a clue what happened there.
That was weird.
He came to a grinding halt. Looking at his hot rod bodywork
has disappeared now. And now the Corvettes are all over him again. This 25-4-3 battle will not go away.
See how he works the Viper up through the traffic. The GTD, Jerome Bleakmolen Viper up in front. But right now they're probably all try and go by up into Oak Tree corner.
See if they can get to him before the Oak Tree corner.
That rear tail cover was coming loose over the last couple of laps from probably the incident that we saw between Bill Oberlin and Ollie Gavin early in the race may have loosened it up. So I'm not sure if suddenly Dirk Werner had some bodywork trapped that he couldn't continue and suddenly it came loose. See if we can find a replay of why he suddenly came to a stop, but it certainly put these Corvettes right back on the tail, and this championship battle is heating up once again.
Are they going to be able to get by the 33 before the corner? Looks like the first of the vets will, the 4 car. Then Jerome Bleakmolen has to retake the line.
Saw this BMW running a similar guise at the Daytona 24-hour race. I think it was Bruno Spengler who went for a big ride and tore off the rear cover on the BMW, and it didn't seem to affect their performance there. You never know. There's regulations in place that cause some of the aerodynamic looks that we see. Some of it is for performance, some of it is just the regs, and you never know whether it helps or hinders when that part goes away.
I know. Right now he's able to hold the same pace, but tell you what, as he came through that little left-hander there, through turn 4, it's almost the only time I can imagine either we missed him snap sideways and had to recover, or it's almost like he couldn't get a gear. Which
look for a clue though. Look at the front end of that white BMW. There's a lot of grass on that radiator, so I think he may have gone for a little spin or something that caused the momentary stop, because a lot of grass there. He's been off somewhere.
I think we saw that bumper cover laying on the front straightaway right off the final corner, turn number 17A. We'll look for it next time by. Meanwhile, let's hear from Jamie.
Well, with Alex Job, you guys talked about it earlier. One of the best in the business, Alex. You've been doing this a long time. It's been an up and down season, though. As a team owner, what do you have to do to end the season on a high note, getting ready for next year?
Well, we've got to run as strong as we can in the remaining 3 races, this being one of the 3. And we need to try to get podium positions to get as many points in the championship as we can. I mean, ultimately, we're quite a ways away from leading the championship, but would at least like to finish the season out on the podium for the championship points.
Fighting for a podium position right now is number 23, sits in 4th, guys.
Trying to make sense of this 25 situation. I think what happened, Dirk Werner must have been for a ride off in the grass, and I think we're going to show a replay here from the onboard of one of the Corvettes. And look up ahead, watch up ahead. 2 cars in front, the second white car. Suddenly Werner hits the brakes. I think what he's trying to do is to get that grass off the radiator grill. Yeah. The team will have seen it, said you're going to overheat, don't want to try and bring it down pit lane. That's going to cost you about 30 seconds. See if you can just hit the brakes hard, shove that grass off the radiator grid to get some cooling back on that car.
Needs to use that NASCAR technique, get right up behind the car ahead of you and let the air turbulence clean it off. Here's some radio.
NEC5 grass and the radiator have to stop completely.
I have to stop completely. They got a little bit of it off somehow. See if those engine temps come down. Still a ways to go. Coming up on 35 minutes remaining here at the Oak Tree Grand Prix, powered by Porsche. Before the world even knew it existed, Ford was secretly testing the new Ford GT race car it unveiled at this past year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. FoxSports.com and Ford Performance are giving fans an exclusive look at the shakedown test of the new race car that will compete here in IMSA and in the FIA World Endurance Championship in 2016. For the full video, go to FoxSports.com/Ford Performance. I've been to the site and it is awesome. Time for our Continental Tire race recap. We're looking at our overall leader, Nick Tandy. The 911 factory Porsches had it pretty much all their own way today. Meanwhile, in GT Daytona, Townsend Bell and teammate Bill Sweedler have a chance, fingered crossed, to get their first victory of the year. 0 cautions. We have been clean and green since the start of the race. 1 lead change up front. Only 1 car officially out of the race.
Yeah, it's been a flat-out 2-hour, 40-minute sprint. We're not there yet. 22 minutes left on the board, but certainly getting back to that Porsche performance. We spoke to Morgan Brady, and there's really just a tremendous amount of effort. I spoke to Morgan this morning. He said the team is just working extra hard. Certainly, this new tire has really had a dramatic effect in terms of our performance, but they're just executing every turn of the way. They came out the box so strong last year, Bob, with those 2 victories in the Enduros. Kind of a great start and then tapered off. This year, it's the other way around, so they're looking for a championship in a big way.
There is the leader of GTLM moving back. You're going to see his sister car, the 912. Look at that, Earl Bamber behind the wheel. I have to say, he was very aggressive on Pierre Caffer earlier, and he managed to get by, and the pit stop sequence helped them. But these two are like real trains. Oh, a little lockup as he goes down into 15, 16, 17. But, you know, he's got a nice buffer now. Good set, almost 7 seconds on the Ferrari of Pierre Caffer, and we pick him up now as he is following down. Pierre, I have to say, I mean, you have driven magnificently this race. Every lap they have taken that Ferrari to the absolute limit of its grip, its threshold of performance, and if that's as fast as a car can go right now.
Yeah, and his last lap, just 1 lap ago, was a 42.6. He just improves on that, a 42.60. Which is just a tick off Bamber, who currently holds the fastest lap of the race. So the Ferrari is fast.
On board the 4th place car at GTLM, John Edwards in the Team RLL BMW Z4. There's the 24 car. Let me be clear, the 24 is the 4th place car. The 25 is the 5th place car.
And again, we've got to see if BMW make any calls to John Edwards to slow his pace and try and get this championship contending number 25 ahead of him. It's a tough call for Lucas Luhr and John Edwards. They're not that far out of the game, but when it's this tight, can you afford to give up a couple of points which are there to be handed to that 25 machine?
Yeah, it was Bill was funny, pointing out the damage, referring to it on the back there. Yes, you've lost some downforce, but it's probably dropped a few pounds of weight as well. And of course, this is the beauty of VIR for the GT cars. It's their own race this weekend, Calvin, and they're loving it.
Picking up the GTD leader. There he is, Townsend Bell, in that Ferrari 458 Italia.
We talked about the pace when he was initially out there. Christopher Haase was all over him, but as we got to the middle of the stint, the Ferrari seemed to maintain his balance, maintain lap time, and he just eked away. And then we saw problems for Haase. We saw that spin earlier. He had to hit pit lane. He's now dropped to 5th position behind the 97 from Turner Motorsport with Marcus Paltala behind the wheel. So good day for the 97 machine right now.
Good day for the 007, the TRG Aston Martin racing machine. Kuno Whitmer doing his best to preserve his co-driver Christina Nielsen's lead in the Driver Championship. Right now, it's looking good for them as they continue to dodge that BMW rear bumper cover, laying just off turn 17. 3rd place car in the class, this one, the number 23, the Sebring 12 Hours winner, Mario Farnbacher.
Super Mario.
Ian James started the car.
He is an absolute stud. And there's been a lot of talk about Alex Job has got 2 silver or Pro-Am rated drivers in the car, and has allowed them some strategy plays throughout the course of this season. I'll be surprised if Mario stays at silver for next year, but it doesn't matter. With Ian James still a silver, they can still have that combination of a gold and a silver driver. So they've announced their lineup for next year. They're back with both of those cars with Alex Job, so it's good news, and it doesn't really matter. It will just affect the strategy plays that they've had on offer this year.
Moving to the 4th place car in GTD. There it is, the Turner Motorsport BMW. In the hands of Marcus Pautala.
Spoke to Michael Marcel this morning. He said he's certainly very serious about coming back next year. As Will Turner said, we're committed as a team. We're going to have 2 of these new M6s available to us for the Daytona 24-hour race. He seems pretty bullish in having at least 1 full-time program, hopefully with Michael on board, and at least an endurance package, if not more, with the second car. So that's great news. This GT3 platform, which has been embraced in the GTD category for next year, I think will certainly add to the interest, add to the entry, and it's just going to get better and better.
Lots of interesting rumors about manufacturers who might make their first appearance in the series because of those GT3 rules. We've got a test coming up before the end of the calendar year, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of the new machinery out there, if they can get them built in time.
Christopher Haas said not a smooth day for these guys. Started from the pole, lost the lead early to Bill Sweedler, and speaking of which, he's standing by in pit lane.
Yeah, Townsend Bell has worked with Bill Sweedler on his driving, and Bill has obviously worked on Townsend on how to be cool. Look at this guy. But are you cool underneath, really? I mean, a little, call it 20 minutes yet to go in this thing. You guys in the lead, first win of the year. What's it like inside?
Ryan, you know, frankly, I'd rather be in the car right now. I hate sitting on the pit stand. It is the worst feeling in the world to just watch those seconds tick away. But the Scuderia Corsa team has done a flawless job here. And frankly, that's what it's all about. The Ferrari here is meant to be driven at VIR. It's high speed, it's undulating, and the team has been impeccable. So fingers crossed to the end.
Townsend saying anything from the car right now?
You know him. Cool as a cucumber, sitting in there, copy.
Cool as a cucumber right now. I'm sure nerves are going to get a little bit higher. Oh, wait.
One more thing. My son Cameron's 15th birthday today. I wish I could be there, buddy. Happy birthday.
Yeah, a win would make a great birthday present, wouldn't it, guys?
Yeah, in fact, on Bill's behalf, I'll tell Cameron that he's going to get the trophy if Townsend and Dad can pull off their first victory of the year here at VIR. Last break before the checkered flag. Join us on the other side. Next round of the championship on the TUDOR United SportsCar Trail will be the Immaculate Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. 2 hours and 40 minutes, penultimate round of the championship. So be sure to join us for the Lone Star Le Mans, September 19th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 2 Live. And that'll be a big weekend of sports car racing for all of us here at Fox Sports, because coming up that Saturday night, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern, live on Fox Sports 2, the World Endurance Championship. All the cars you saw at Le Mans this year, they too will race a 6-hour event at Circuit of the Americas from 6 p.m. to midnight Eastern. So check that out.
It'll be a fun weekend there.
Oh boy. And by the way, if you're going to IMSA.com or FoxSports.com to check out Ford Performance, stay on your computer and check out SafeIsFast.com. S-A-F-E, skilled, assured, fit, and empowered. It's a great site. Built by the nonprofit Road Racing Drivers Club with help from Honda, a wealth of video tutorials on the racing lifestyle and all of its various elements, plus a special feature called Ask a Pro, where you can send in questions for a racing superstar. The current Ask a Pro, Nico Hulkenberg, a winner at the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year with Porsche, although we must admit he had a brutal weekend at the Formula One Grand Prix of Belgium, so maybe you want to wait a couple of days before asking him anything.
Well, Pierre Caffer's got the hammer down, and he's running some very fast laps, faster than the 2 Porsches in front of him. In Tandy's gone. He's 27 seconds ahead of his teammate, but still got, 11 minutes left on the board here. Caffer's about 3 or 4 seconds behind Bamber and a little bit quicker right now.
I mean, their only strategy really is to keep that pressure on in case there's anything going on, if there's any fuelage. I mean, you don't know. Porsche are running an absolute meticulous, perfect race. But by Caffer keeping the pressure on, it means they can't back off and control the game even more. So
you catch a little bit of traffic. Only 2 classes running here today, Justin. But if you get traffic in the wrong spot in the S's, you can lose a second or more. So suddenly that gap is gone, and that Ferrari could be all over the 912. And as we saw at Road America, it's never over till it's over.
It's the second place car of Earl Bamber. You see the gap to the 62 of Pierre Caffer.
Well, Caffer took a monstrous 100th of a second out of the gap there.
Yeah. So if we're out here until Tuesday morning, he's got a chance to catch.
He's got a chance.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance.
We have a saying in the collector car business. You have cars known as perhaps 20-footers. They look great from 20 feet away. You get close, not so much. The exact opposite here. This Racing Competizione Ferrari, I actually like all of the cars in the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship. The closer you get, the better they look. And this thing is just awesome.
And if you want to see them at the best, get to COTA. It's a tremendous racetrack. We've got all 4 classes running together. And the championship is winding down, so it's going to get a heated battle there.
Also, probably one of the best cities to go to on our tour of North America.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
And there may have been problems here for our GTD leader, Townsend Bell, who looked to be comfortable out front by to the tune of like 14 seconds. But here we see, oh, it just touched the curb there a little bit. Wow, that's a wild ride when you're leading this race.
Went off there. I got a false neutral going into the last corner. We're okay. A little rim ride. A little scare.
Yeah, that's Townsend trying to stop Bill having a conniption up on the pit box, I think. Nice and cool, TB. As he said, false neutral. That means obviously he's got traction, he's got drive. He went to get another gear, which you do in the middle of that corner. He doesn't get it. He gets a neutral between gears. You lose that physical dynamic to hold the car onto the track, and you went wide. You know, his experience kept it on track, but I'm sure
his heartbeat probably went up 1.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
you know,
Townsend does quite a bit of TV work, including his What You Got show. And he's worked with you in the past, JB. I've done some race calling with him, so he's kind of like an announcer in the car. He's calling his own race there for his pit crew.
Yeah, exactly. Comes through again.
That's the corner, same corner right there, and you can see nice and smooth there. He just got wide, and if he didn't have drive, you just don't have the turning ability. The car's coasting. It takes on a totally different dynamic, as you said, JB.
You know, Whitmer, he is actually, we'll see it come up in a minute as he crosses the finish line, but he's got to be at least 15 seconds behind Townsend as he crosses the start-finish line. This car has been strong all the way through the race, and he got it at 14.7. Okay, I was close enough. You know, they've been running well, and I think you touched on it earlier, the way these drivers are categorized. We're starting to see this evolution of the starting driver in GTD. They are becoming really good, and instead of, I mean, to be honest, in some ways a necessary evil, if you like, part of the regulations to have them. Now they're having their own very competitive race, and they've got to not just stay on the lead lap, they've got to be in the top 3 when they hand it over. Well,
particularly when you go green. I mean, you're used to, I'll just go out, do your thing, stay on the lead lap, don't fall off the road. Well, suddenly you get a green flag race where your track position is ultimately what the pro then has to get in and assume. And if you dig too deep of a hole, they're not going to get out of it. So there's a lot more emphasis, and I think the pro drivers do that through the course of the weekend, giving the Pro-Am driver their teammate more track time, letting them get comfortable, because they realize, okay, give me the car, I can fine-tune the car, maybe find a 10th or 2, let the Pro-Am guy get another 10, 20 laps. They could be half a second faster. That's a big net gain there.
Here's another battle in GTD with championship implications. The 48 team came in second in the title chase. The 22 right there, the WeatherTech machine, one of those 4 teams looking for their first victory of the year. They were 4th in points coming in. So if Lee Keene can catch up and pass Christopher Haase, that'll help them close the gap in the championship.
See John Edwards there just working his way through this GTD traffic.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, he's got a lonely race going on. He's 10 seconds ahead of his teammate and some 30 seconds down. So again, it's almost like with this new Michelin tires created a big spread in the field. Been so close all season long, but suddenly the Porsches and the Ferrari seem to almost be in a league of their own. BMW's kind of hanging in there, and the Corvette's struggling the most. So really been a change here in the last couple of races.
Yeah, that new single stint tire really gives them just another weapon for the arsenal.
Right.
Yeah, but Corvette technically on the same tire.
Well,
but just not able to.
It's just the way it's suited. I mean, you know, certainly Michelin saw that Falcon were coming to the game with a competitive product. They got the win at Watkins Glen, and suddenly, okay, we need to go to work and come out with a better tire in case we get that force against us again. And it just seems that it suited the rear engine car a little bit more, even though it's really identical construction.
Yeah, I mean, Corvette have just definitely. I mean, you know, you talk to the team. Doug Feehan echoes it perfectly. They're operating as hard as they can. The drivers are driving as hard as they can. Mechanics are getting the most out of it. The engineers, the data guys are.
Gotta be 10 tenths.
They're 10 tenths, and just where their car sits in the whole AOP and everything, it's just not quite there. But I think to balance that, you've got to say Porsche are more than just there. So it's like the perfect storm for Porsche.
5 minutes remaining here at Virginia International Raceway. Looking at the second place factory Porsche in the hands of New Zealand's Earl Bamber.
That gap is a little bit slimmer between Bamber and Kaffer, but still looks like the Porsches look comfortable there, sitting in the first and second spot. Tandy continues to lead. What an impressive driver he has. Really burst onto the scene a couple of seasons ago, winning at Petit Le Mans when he co-drove with Hensler and Sellers to win for Falcon Tire there. And then from that point on, he just gets in one of these Porsches and it's just hammered down, one of the quickest guys in sports cars right now.
And it really is in the mold of a true great racing driver, is that he went to Le Mans. His experience in prototypes was absolutely zero before they started testing it. And he was fastest in the car. I mean, up against some pretty stiff opposition. So he's obviously an all-rounder. I think his attitude helps. I think his attitude in a very Porsche, like BMW, like Audi, their driver structure is really, it's wonderful to be a part of. But you are in the pool with the sharks. These are hard, talented, aggressive, hungry, experienced drivers. And you've got to survive that before you even take on what goes on track. And he's able to, I think, because he's basically a pretty laid-back guy.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. He's such a cool customer, and he takes it all in his stride. But when you stick him behind the wheel, he just gets it done. He just wrings the neck of the race car every time he's in it. We saw it yesterday. He had that little off. He's just pushing the limits all of the time. And you have to, because your teammates are so strong. The competition is so strong. You can't afford to give up 100th of a second. You've got to really fight for everything you can get.
And on behalf of everybody who watches, who's a fan of racing, and I've been lucky enough, as have you, Calvin, to actually race and do stuff behind the wheel of a car. Most people don't get that chance. At least he looks like he's having a bloody good time. And I'm glad about that, because in the end, you're getting paid to drive a racing car around in a circle. And there aren't many better jobs than that.
It's pretty cool. He's always got a smile on his face, a nice character, a nice addition to the paddock, as is the guy behind the wheel of the 912 as well, Earl Bamber. What a sensation he is, Bob, with his upbringing, coming through the one-make Porsche series and being brought on as a Porsche factory guy. What he did at Road America in qualifying was sensational. Didn't get a dry lap until the Saturday morning. Went out in qualifying. The second lap was just sensational. Some 2 seconds faster than anyone else. Okay, everyone got a bit closer, then just parked it in pit lane. I mean, just turned on the light switch. He was home.
It's a critical skill for young racing drivers to be quick right away, along with all the other tools like giving good feedback and not bending the race car and all that sort of thing. I don't know how Porsche finds these guys, but we hope to have a story a little bit later this year about the process by which Porsche isolates and develops and selects new talent. So stand by for that.
I actually think that all the big manufacturers have breeding farms. Just throwing it out there.
You're getting all sci-fi on us here.
Yeah, I am.
I think the other thing is the drivers want to go there too. They realize that Porsche are going to be around forever in terms of motorsport. If you can get in the door, suddenly your career can be set. So certainly they provide a great platform, but the drivers want to be there in the first place.
That's the telling statistic. The 62 Ricci Ferrari has won the last 2 years. Coming in here, what a great thing it would have been to have 3 in a row. I tell you what, I think as a team they should think that second place, if they do manage to hold on for the next minute and a half, it's not the same as a win, but boy, they drove hard enough and strategized well enough to deserve a win.
They're on board with the 24, running that more aggressive tire setup. And to relate it to lap time, fastest lap time for the 24 car today is a 1:42.7. Fastest in the 25 is a 1:43.4. So had about 3/4 of a second advantage in terms of performance. And we saw the strategy play out. Some of that was kind of altered by Bill being involved in the argy-bargy and the quick spin, of course.
1 minute remaining here at VIR. Coming to the white flag. Porsche brought a 1-2 the most recent round at Road America into this race. Now they are in position for their second straight.
And we talk about fuel strategy here. The Corvette boys cut it a little bit too lean. Tommy Milner on pit lane for a splash of fuel. Unbelievable with 1 lap to go, Brian.
Yeah, it was a quick stop there. Dirk Werner also being told that he needs to save a little bit fuel. Remember, he and Bill Auberlen second in the championship right now.
Boy, it's going to be an interesting couple of races at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and then the race you pointed out earlier, Calvin. Anything can happen in the 10-hour Petite Le Mans at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, it is so different. It is so different, that endurance race. I mean, you're in the thick of a championship battle, but so many things can go wrong. There's so many incidents you have to avoid over the course of 10 hours. It's not an easy racetrack with 4 classes running together down through the S's there at Road Atlanta. A lot of patience has to be held throughout the course of 10 hours. Not a tough one, a very tough one to survive.
Well, we just heard on the radio, Nick Tandy has just said to his pits, the fuel alarm has come on. They've timed this absolutely perfectly. Half a lap to go as they come to take the checker.
There's the number 62, Pierre Caffer, closing on Earl Bamber. I wonder if Earl's having some fuel issues.
Is he having a safe fuel? Because here comes Caffer. He has kept the hammer down, and he's been running very impressive lap times. That gap was around 2.5, 3 seconds. Now there's traffic there with a 76. Caffer tries to set up to get a good clean exit out of Oak Tree. He's got it.
Oh, he could do this going down there. The Ferrari is quicker. He had the perfect committed exit of Oak Tree as the 911 comes up onto the finish line for the last time.
And Nick Tandy will take the checkered flag. Yet another victory for Porsche. There's Patrick Pilet. He can celebrate. Oh, here they go. Just a couple of corners remaining.
Just like last year, it was the Ferrari against the Falcon Tire Porsche. That was for the win. This is for second.
Can Pierre Caffer close?
Not enough.
I don't think so.
Runner of the racetrack. What a great effort. These two. Earl Bamber, fantastic drive. Aggression when he needed it. Pierre Caffer crossing the line in 3rd place.
1-2 for Porsche. Ferrari in 3rd. And there's Townsend Bell.
Making his way up through the S. He's still got quite a lot of lap left to go.
Not threatened by the 33 Viper behind. Your own Bleakmolen is not on the same lap.
Right now, I bet Bill Sweedler is just beside himself on the pit box behind his very cool shades.
Hopefully his son Cameron is as well, watching at home.
Come on, Jerome, don't get in his mirrors too much.
Just had a feeling about this Ferrari this weekend. When you saw Bill Sweedler qualify there in the 3rd spot yesterday and disappointed that he didn't get the pole. That was a statement that they had a great race car.
So right now, there you see it, the WeatherTech 22 Porsche coming up through turn 14, 15. That means somewhere up ahead, Townsend Bell should be crossing the finish line.
These guys are about a lap down, so they're going to get the checkered flag before the winner does, I believe. So this was for position, this was for 5th, but here comes the leader right now.
So 4 teams came in looking for their first victory of the year while they contend for a championship. Townsend Bell and Bill Sweedler will get it for Scuderia Corsa and their Ferrari. A break, and then we'll be back for post-race celebrations. Stay with us. Back at VIR, celebration time for Nick Tandy and Patrick Pilet after a dominating run, both by them and their teammates, Earl Bamber and Jörg Bergmeister, for a Porsche 1-2 here at the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche. Here are our BMW race results.
What a roll they're on. 3 in a row for the 911. Championship lead will be theirs tonight.
Let's get down to Jamie Howe.
And Nick Tandy walking away from me right now as he gets this helmet off. 3 in a row. Such an incredible mid-season run for you guys, Nick. Porsche extends the lead in the championship. Your co-driver, Patrick, he takes the lead in the Drivers' Championship. What went into the result today?
I mean, it's easy to look at it and say, you know, it's easy for us, but there's been so much work going on since the end of last year, really, and since this sort of summer break, since we've come back, since Bib's given us a good tire with Michelin. You know, we've been really strong, but the thing is we're executing perfectly. It was tied on a 2-stop race, and we managed the race, managed the tires, managed the fuel, and again, it was a perfect run. And when we do this, we're always going to give ourselves a chance.
Yep, and you managed the race win. Congratulations.
Congratulations indeed. Time for our Audi move of the race, and it comes from the GTD battle, Ferrari versus Audi.
Well, the door was opened up there by the Racing Competizione. Ferrari forcing his way through. Townsend was having none of it. He held on to the lead, and that turned into a win today.
Great battle between 2 great drivers and 2 great cars. To Brian Till.
Townsend Bell just climbed out of the 63, and Townsend, Daytona 2014 seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? And you think about it, the gap closes in the championship. I think only 6 points now. It's a pretty special victory.
It's great. We're coming. You know, it's nice to have a playground where we can play. It's been a while, but you know, car was perfect all day. I mean, how about my teammate Bill Sweeler? He went straight to the front, led the whole time, and then the pressure was on me to keep it up. It was a little tough on new tires for us with the 48, but once we settled into a groove, we had good pace, and I'm just so happy for these guys. I mean, it's, Le Mans kept us nursed along the way, but this feels good. We needed to eat.
Congratulations on the victory, Jamie.
Well, now Dirk Werner and Bill Oberlin find themselves 8 points out of this GTLM championship battle. Dirk, how does this change the strategy going forward?
Yeah, that's a bummer, I have to say. But in the end, I think that was pretty much the maximum we could get under these conditions. The 3 cars that were on the podium were just too fast for us. We were a lot better than in Road America and a lot closer. So we made progress thanks to the team. I hope for the last 2 races we can make even a little bit more progress and just get closer, so the battle in the last race in Atlanta will be open again. Now we have some work ahead of us the next 4 weeks till we drive in Kota, but yeah, congrats to Porsche and Ferrari for the podium, and I promise we give our best to be back there at the next race.
No rest for BMW. Brian?
Well, it was a Porsche kind of day here, Antonio Garcia, but that Corvette BMW battle stays intense. The championship really tight. Looking forward to the last 2 races. What do you guys have for the BMW?
I mean, I think we proved all season long that we've been very equal through all the season, BMW and us. So a few races we were a bit better than them or opposite. So it's just that we seem to run in a different category now. And yeah, I mean, it was a shame that during my first stint I had something went on Oak Tree. I mean, everything shut. I mean, everything went off, so I had to recycle the whole thing. So at that point, everybody passed me again, including the BMW. So from that point on, being backwards, I mean, fuel strategy would have been good enough to be in front of them, but yeah, not this time.
You can hear the frustration in his voice, Jamie.
And Christina Nielsen, no frustration here, a smile on her face to extend this Drivers' Championship point lead. What do you have to keep in mind now with 2 races remaining?
I think exactly what we did today. We showed the consistency is the key. You know, we finished second again a runner-up, but, you know, I'm focusing on this championship, and it's just a pleasure to drive. I mean, it's my first time here racing at VIR, and, you know, I just consider myself lucky to be in the position I am, and, yeah, we're fighting for that championship, that's for sure.
For you and Konu, congratulations.
Congratulations indeed to all of our winners. Here's a look at the championship in GT Le Mans with 2 to go.
Well, certainly things have changed there at the top. The 911 leapfrog over the 25 and the 3. It's tight right behind, but this thing is going to go all the way down to the wire at Petit.
Well, we changed the story, didn't we? Now there is a winner in the top 4 cars in the championship. Christina Nielsen does extend a lead, and congratulations to Bill and Townsend.
Next up, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, where we'll get the band back together. All 4 classes, including the prototypes and GT cars. Remember to join us Saturday, September 19th, 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Fox Sports 2. Thanks for joining us today for the Oak Tree Grand Prix at VIR, powered by Porsche. For Calvin Fish, Justin Bell, Jamie Howe, and Brian Till, I'm Bob Varsha. We'll see you next from Texas. Join us then. Until then, so long from Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia.